Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the Rugby World Cup. One of the most talked about games of round number one, South Africa taking on Scotland. Now, Pool B is already stacked. And from the first game that we did see between Ireland and Romania, it's quite a bit of ground to make up. But of course, depending on who you're playing, will depend on how much you are able to extend that lead. Looking currently at the way that the table sits, that's the wrong side of the draw. Here we go. That's also the wrong side of the draw. Where's the other side of the draw got? It has disappeared. But I will tell you off the top of my head, at the moment, in Pool B, Ireland are sitting at the top of the bunch after an impressive performance up against the Romanians, managing to win that game by around that 75 points differential. So they have got themselves the bonus point. They are sitting on 5 points. And the way that you would get 5 points in this scenario is if either of these sides can walk away with 4 tries or more. And speaking of tries, we have got 7 try scorers in the competition already that have been able to get themselves the double. No one with a hat-trick as of yet, but those players are Ben Donaldson, Mark Talia, Bundy Arkey, Tyke Byrne, Peter O'Mahony. For the Irish, Johnny Sexton also managed to get himself 2. And then there was also Amato Fakatava in the most recent game between Japan and Chile. But looking through at the previous results that we have seen so far in this Rugby World Cup, France versus New Zealand, the opener, the French at home getting themselves the victory, 27 points to 13 over the AB. So they currently sit second in Pool A, with New Zealand sitting there in third. Italy getting themselves a comfortable win over Namibia, although at halftime in that game, I believe the score was about 17 points to 8. So certainly pouring on that pressure in the second half, the Italians, which is actually similar to what we saw in that game between France and New Zealand as well. Ireland getting themselves that comfortable win over Romania. Unfortunately, in such a tough group, Romania, few score lines could look relatively similar to that one. Australia getting themselves their first win under the coaching of Eddie Jones, 35 points to 15 over Georgia. England versus Argentina, some would say, was one of the more lackluster games of the weekend. We did see a red card to Tom Curry. We saw a couple other yellow cards, but we didn't see a single try from England throughout the 80 minutes. The lone try coming for Argentina in the 79th minute of the game. And then it is Japan versus Chile. We commentated that game just before, 42 points to 12 in favour of the Japanese to get themselves their first win of the competition. But these two games, as you can see, there are still 2 remaining, and they will be very exciting fixtures. First, South Africa versus Scotland, and then Pool C has got another match there, Wales versus Fiji. And these are the odds for these 2 matches. As you can see there, South Africa, they do come in as heavy favourites, $1.16, compared to Scotland being the underdog in this game with $5. And then Wales versus Fiji, Wales come in as the slight favourite going into that game. But I think that the beauty of that last match of the Rugby World Cup round 1 is it could go either way. But looking through at the chat, we have got Come On Scotland from Richard. Scott's doing good, but it's Southern Hemisphere all day. ABs and RGs, come on, Bok and Fiji. Back the Aussies and show them true Southern Hemisphere monster rugby. Get us on the table, brothers. Says audio, and also we have got the Hi Hamish, see you all suited up there. Says Kurt, we certainly are indeed. For this match, it had a real big feel, so of course we had to put on the suit for the fixture. South Africa 80 to Scotland's 3 is the prediction from Chad the Cat. I assume that is so that they can be just a little bit ahead of the Irish. I like the competitive nature of this group. I'll be honest, it seems to be that all throughout the week, even though it's South Africa versus Scotland, I have heard a lot more people talking about South Africa-Ireland. And it seems to be that the 2 fan bases, they're butting heads like 2 rams who want to go at it. They're both trying to get that same paddock of the Shearers. That was some very New Zealand slang. That was a reference to sheep breeding. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it does go when those 2 sides face off. Of course, a few more weeks away. But first, South Africa do have to get through Scotland, and they cannot underestimate the Scottish. We've seen some decent performances from Scotland over the past few weeks. They were a little bit slower starting in their game up against the Georgians, but once they found their momentum, they were able to win it 33 points to 6. They were narrowly defeated by France, 30 points to 27. Now, that was actually France's A side. A lot of people felt Scotland did tremendously in that contest, and then they were able to beat France the week beforehand, 25 points to 21. Also, a little bit of a Six Nations rematch there on the 30th of July, with Scotland getting themselves the win, 25 points to 13. Looking at South Africa, what they have been able to do in their last 3 outings. They did have the Rugby Championship rematch on the 6th of August. That was up against the Argentines. They were able to win that game 24 points to 13. So a bit more of a wider spread in the score compared to the game that did happen in the Rugby Championship. 52 points to 16. Brilliant performance from the Springboks there up against Wales. And then that game up against the All Blacks, 35 points to 7. It was a perfect way to make a statement just before a Rugby World Cup. Definitely when you're the defending champs, tell everyone just how dangerous you will be. And South Africa's squad for this Rugby World Cup, they are looking absolutely phenomenal. Do you have mad respect for the team? Says Damon, which team we talking? We talking Scotland or South Africa? Because I feel that both of these sides have got a lot of potential in this World Cup. The tricky part for Scotland is, of course, they are in a group with 2 of the sides in the top 4 from around the world. And nice set there, bro, says Andrew. Thank you very much. And Swing Low, good luck to both, says we are all guilty. And also Springboks 27, Scotland 17, says Yako there. And Cheslin Colby to get his hat-trick today, says Gamblers Express. And that's the thing. There has been no hat-tricks throughout the first round of the Rugby World Cup as of yet. That's not to say that we won't see one, though, in one of these last 2 games. And if there was anyone to be able to do it, to be honest, Cheslin Colby, very good shout. Also alongside that, Kurtley Arendse out on the other wing. I feel he's got a good shot, being able to get himself a couple. Will I be able to watch the game live on here, says Tristan? Sadly, due to licensing, we are unable to show match footage or audio, but we will be giving you the play-by-play commentary all throughout the match. We have got Go the Box, says Donovan. And also we have got there, Blue Tie means Hamish is back in Scotland, says Bystander. And there as well, and we have got there Go Bok. And also Hamish, says Donovan. That is my name. Okay, mad question. Who do you think is better, Cheslin or Arendse? Based off current form, I would go Arendse every day of the week. Mainly because Cheslin Colby, don't get me wrong, brilliant player. We know what he can do in World Cups. But it's one of those cases of, unfortunately, it hasn't quite worked for him this year. And I think he'll say that himself as well. But now that we're in the World Cup with that experience under his belt, I think he's going to be a very decent option. We have got there Pathetic Mate collar and tie, but you got shorts or a tracksuit bottom on you, Bell, says Adrian. No, I got the suit pants on. Thought I might as well dress to impress. Obviously, Adrian, very hard man to impress. And everyone will be surprised the All Blacks will come back and play in the final. Says Peter Stowers, and I'm half McCullum, sitting here in the full Springbok kit. Common Mr. Neutral, where is the green? Says Sean, it is on my underwear. I haven't quite got the budgie smugglers like Fuff, but on the string, or the draw strap, is it called? No, not quite. But the band around the top, it is green, so that is where the Springbok alliance lies, I guess. I was looking at my socks, they're just plain black. I look at Sharp Hamish, go the Bok. Says Joel there, and Finn Russell will be a problem for the Box, says Sean Lees. Although, I believe that this game is one that we will see South Africa try their absolute best to shut down Finn Russell as soon as possible. Now, we did see in the last game between England and Argentina, normally Argentina, their backline isn't too bad, It's able to get a few passes out wide, but England were just rushing up, shutting it down where it started. And that's exactly what the likes of a Peter Steph-Toy, he'll be looking to do. Jasper Wiese as well. They'll be trying to intimidate Finn Russell early on, and it's going to be up to Russell to try and use some of that elusive play that he normally has, whether or not that is trying to break round them or kick it early enough that they aren't able to get there. That's what the Scottish side will need to use in this game. But looking through at the starting lineups, I haven't even mentioned them. At this point, Stephen Kitsoff, Malcolm Marx, and Frans Malherbe as the front 3. I believe that Kitsoff in the scrums will be dangerous, but also being able to get over the ball, get the turnovers, normally does it for the Stormers, has done it for the Box throughout the Rugby Championship. So certainly one to watch out for. Malcolm Marx, they have opted to start him rather than Bongi Mbonambi, and I believe that is due to the little bit more consistency that we have seen from Marx. He's a brilliant player off the bench, but I believe he needs more minutes than just a few at the end of the game. Eben Etzebeth and Franco Mostert, the combination that the Springboks went with in the game up against the All Blacks, and it did prove effective, so they will be hoping can once again. Here's Ser Khaleesi, the captain who recently returned. He is there at number 6, Peter Steph-Toy at number 7, and Jasper Wiese slotting in as the number 8. Probably the most surprising name in the starting lineup for a lot of people, mainly because they thought they would go with Dwayne Vermeulen. Instead, Vermeulen will be coming off the bench. Faf de Klerk at number 9. Actually, no, or Some people felt de Klerk wasn't going to be in the starting side, but I'd say more thought that he would be there than Visa. Marnie Lebok as the 10, he had a tremendous game up against the All Blacks, kicking 100%. It will be great to see what he can do in that fly half jersey. Damien Delende at number 12 with Jesse Creel on his outside. At 13, Cheslin Colby out on the left wing, so no Makazoli Mapimpi. Kurtley Aronsa out on the other, and it is going to be Damien Valimza at number 15 rather than Villy LaRue. So pretty similar to what we have seen for the Springboks in past weeks. Now we have to wait and see whether it will pay off, but we have got 26 messages in the chat. I will try my absolute best to be able to read through all of your chat, but I do apologise if I do end up missing any of the messages. This will be a good showdown between the Southern and Northern rugby skills and interpretations of the rules, I reckon, says Andrew Neal. And Style and Amish says, Maritz, thank you very much, mate. Usually appreciate it. Did you catch any sleep since last stream? I did not. I cooked a little bit of food, and then that was about all of the time that I did get. Short shorts and long socks. Why, says Donovan? It is not what I've got. I got pants, and I guess they're a little bit like they're just ankle socks, or I guess a little bit higher. What are they called? Crew cut? Or is that's a t-shirt, isn't it? Good morning, all. One-way traffic. Feel sorry for Scotland. The box up by at least 25. Says Neil. Great to see you. Hamish says it was there from Darren. And also, unless you have fuff trunks, no go, Hamish, says Sean. And there as well. Hey, mate, why are you always wearing a tie? Well, I feel like if I go through the process of putting this on as well as a shirt, not having a tie, I'd probably get more stick than with me wearing a tie. So that is why we have the tie on there as well. Malcolm Marks to dominate, says Andrew Neal. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do in this game. And to be honest, we haven't seen a hat-trick from anyone so far in round number 1 of the Rugby World Cup. If anyone was going to do it, it would probably either be Malcolm Marks from getting those rolling mauls going for the box, or I would say Kurtley Aronsa, the other man, who could definitely get himself a few on this one. Hamish, are you wearing a kilt? I am not. For this one, don't actually own a kilt, sadly. But I possibly should, because I think I'm like 1/10 Scottish or something along those lines, way back in the day. And we have got there for 50th cap. Yeah, Faf de Klerk bringing up his half century for this game. And I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of tactics the Springboks use in this one up against the Scottish, because Scotland, we saw that when the physical forwards of Georgia were putting them under pressure, they weren't quite able to find that same momentum as what they had the week prior up against France. And even though France did have those big forwards, they just weren't quite pressing the Scottish side as much as we saw from Georgia. But looking through at Scotland for their starting lineup, it is Pierce Schoolman at number 1, Xander Fagerson at 3, and then George Turner in the middle at number 2. Richie Gray and Grant Gilchrist going to be the locking duo in this contest. I feel like them versus Etzebeth and Mostert, lineouts are going to be so important. And I feel like any time that you give that ball up at lineout time, your team's going to be under pressure. They cannot afford to have that happen. Jamie Ritchie at number 6, Rory Darge at 7. So no Hamish Watson in this contest. And then Jack Dempsey at number 8. Now, I have been told that he is also nicknamed by the Scottish team Thor. Now, Dwayne Vermeulen, of course, we've known him as Thor for quite some time, so it could be a battle of the Thors knocking on the door in the second half of this contest when Vermeulen makes his way off the bench. But Ben White as the starting 9 with Finn Russell at 10, he has to be the X-Factor player in this game. If he isn't able to play his natural game of rugby, getting those unorthodox plays, because the Springboks going head-to-head with structure win 9 times out of 10. Going up against a side that are willing to take those risks, if they pay off, they may find success. If they don't pay off, though, South Africa will be able to counter. And that is the risk that you take by playing a kind of more unorthodox game. Sione Tuipulotu at 12, with Hugh Jones at number 13, Duan van der Merwe out on the left wing, Darcy Graham out on the right, and Blair Kinghorn slotting in at number 15. Now, of course, we should mention no Stuart Hogg for this Rugby World Cup. Did hang up the boots just before the competition, so he is nowhere to be seen for Scotland. Looking through at the benches, South Africa, they have gone with the 6-2 classic split for the box. Bongio Manambi, Oxnashe, and Trevor Nakanye at number 18. RG Snyman as the 19. Now, they haven't gone with the 2 locking options. They've left Jean Klein out of the side, and instead Mako van Staden will be there at number 20. He is normally the straight swap for Sia Khaleesi. Dwayne Vermeulen at number 21, Grant Williams at 22, and Villy LaRue to close out the Springboks side as number 23 for the Scottish will be Dave Cherry, Jamie Batty and WP Nell. Scott Cummings at number 19 with Matt Fagerson being at number 20. I'm hoping he will be able to match Dwayne Vermeulen in the second half, although that is, of course, a tough ask. Ali Price at number 21, Redpath at 22, and the youngster Ollie Smith as the number 23. But those are the starting lineups and reserves for these two sides, ladies and gentlemen. We are sitting just under an hour away from the kickoff. It sounds like a relatively long time, but by the time we look through at all the stats that we have got, it will be just around the corner. Looking forward to this one, says John MC. Bot 46 to the 15 of Scotland, says Samuel. And there for his prediction, hammer time, says Kerr. Yeah, head-to-head, two great number 8s. And yeah, should be great to see how Matt Fagerson adapts into that side once he makes his way off. So the only tie predicted in this match is yours. Thanks for the chat build-up, says Michael in there as well. Yeah, see, that's the thing. A draw between these two sides would certainly curve the rankings in terms of Pool B. I'm just thinking through Ireland getting themselves that massive win over Romania, and both Scotland and also the South Africans will want to replicate that when they do go head-to-head. And Snayman, not Klein, my bad, says it was there from bystander. And if we can get on the front foot, South Africa will win by 20 points. Go the Bok, go Bok, says Karen. And also watching from Nigeria, but I love cricket, says Master. And also keep walking, says Donovan. And there, and keep up the good work, Hamish. The Springboks going to show the rest why they are the best. Go Bok, says Freedom and Truth there. Yeah, I think looking at the odds, South Africa, in terms of versing top opposition inside of the top 10 sides, I believe that they come in as the biggest favourite for this round. Now, of course, Ireland versus Romania. Romania a lot further down in the rankings. Of course, there's going to be a bit more of a split there. But in terms of facing a side within the top 10, and in this case, it's actually almost within the top about 7 or 8, South Africa still to have such an edge in the betting odds tells you how strong that they have been as of late. When is the game starting? It is starting in around 55 minutes time. So it's still a little bit away, bit of time to fill in, but we've got plenty of stats and everything along those lines for the build-up of this one. There's only one thought, and that's Dwayne Vermeulen, says Mornay. I thought you were going to say, and that's Chris Hemsworth. But not in this case. I feel like in the rugby world, Dwayne takes that jersey every time, takes that hammer, and I think that just the way that he throws himself around on the field, he is actually in some of the best form we have seen from Dwayne Vermeulen in quite some time, which is terrific to see. I feel like overall the Springboks side, there aren't many players in the starting lineup who aren't in the best form. Damien Dealindi at number 12, you'd have to say maybe one of the more weaker links alongside Jesper Visa off current form. Of course, Damien Dealindi we've seen in the past, he has done absolutely brilliantly. Vermeulen off the bench to replace Jesper Visa, nothing wrong. Skuman and Thunder Merva to replace a brain cell, says Adrian. We have got there, it should be a great game. Just have a hunch there'll be an unexpected result and Scotland will pinch it. The Boks are definitely favourites, but the Scots are masters of pulling off a surprise, says Brian. And I feel like at this stage, with the fact that Ireland were able to get themselves such a comfortable victory, does that play into the way that these two sides play? Because I'm wondering, will both of them be a little bit more aggressive because they have that in the back of their mind, we've got to try and catch up. We're going to get our points differential up just in case. I'd like to think that both of them would be composed enough not to do that. But I'm curious to know if we're about 15 minutes in, one side's leading by, let's say, 6 points or maybe a try. Do they start going for the corner rather than taking on the penalties? Could they play in England and get 9 penalties and drop kicks combined and not get a single try in this game? I feel like the new clinical try-scoring nature that we've seen from South Africa, they just wouldn't like it. And they'd rather be going out getting themselves that bonus point as well. Because that's the other thing you got to chase. Yes, a win is ideal, but 4 tries is what both of these sides need to aim for. Looking through at the previous fixtures, though, for the South Africans, talking about the 4 tries, these are the results. As you can see, the most tries that we've had in a game up against South Africa as of late has been 1. Now, Wales, I don't remember whether or not they snuck a second in that game. I think they only got the 1 try, though, overall, and the rest of their points coming from the penalties. I think it was 3 penalties, 1 converted kick. But this will be a little bit concerning from Scotland with the fact that the highest points that we've seen up against South Africa in the last month have been 16. And the Springboks in all of their games have been able to get inside of the 20s. But Scotland, they also know a thing or two about trying to keep a side from scoring tries. In 2 of their last 4 fixtures, they have only conceded the 1 try. That game up against France, in fact, both games up against France, they did concede a few, but then who doesn't up against France? Just ask the All Blacks. But looking through at what these 2 sides have got coming up for them after this game does take place, it is going to be South Africa versus Romania. That is next week on Monday morning, 1 a.m. New Zealand time. We will be up bright and early covering that one on the channel. Then they have got the game the week after, South Africa versus Ireland on the 24th of September. That is an 8 a.m. game, so that will actually, I believe, be a 9 p.m. kickoff for you guys in South Africa. And then they have got the game the week after up against the Tongans. That will be on the 2nd of October or the day prior, the 1st, in South Africa. And I should actually mention, normally with the groups, the way that they are laid out, you have a bye week. South Africa's bye week will be here. Just before the quarterfinals, they will have that extra week to recover. The big question mark is whether or not that will impact the way that they play in that quarterfinal from not getting to play for the week prior. But what I think is they'll be just that little bit more fresh and raring to go. These are the games for Scotland coming up, though. The rest week for Scotland is actually next week. They do not have themselves a fixture the week after, though, on the 25th of September. They will be playing up against Tonga. Game after that up against the Romanians. And then the last game, it is going to be a Six Nations rematch between Ireland and Scotland to close out Pool B. And then also I should mention down the bottom there, Romania versus Tonga will also be taking place on that week. But looking at the chat we have got there, Go the Box. That was a big sneeze. It is a strong, well-organised box side. Says Wise One, I'm a bit worried for this game. The Scots are very comfortable to take on the Box. They seem not worried at all, says Honeys. And also we have got there, I'll be back later, says Master. I think this one may be a bruiser, says Jeremy Rogers. And we can still be in the game by 60 minutes. Never mind when their squad come on, says Graham. And that's the big thing throughout this Rugby World Cup. Any side that's had themselves a little bit of a lead at halftime has pretty much gone on to win the game. I don't believe we've had a result yet that the team leading at halftime has then gone on to win. I could be wrong with that statement, but I believe that that is still the case here. So whoever starts this match better, it sounds simple, but whoever has that first 10, 20 minutes or so with a little bit more dominance, scoring points, could be walking away with the victory. Looking smart for the game. Respect, says Jan. Thank you very much. An absence of Lukanyuam is worrying me. Although the good news is Jesse Creel, last game that he played was up against Wales and managed to get himself 2 tries. Kane and Moody last week, or 2 weeks ago, sorry, in the game up against the All Blacks, had a very good performance, managed to score himself a try in that game, if I'm not wrong, or if he didn't score, he at least got himself a few assists. So number 13 at the moment, I believe, won't be a problem for the Springboks. It is massively a shame that Lukanyuam is not in the squad, but I feel like the young guys that they've got here with Moody and also with Jesse Creel, a bit more experience there, should still be able to go very well. We've got Scotland, we're the only team to stop Ireland getting the try bonus during the Six Nations, says Brian. So normally that Scottish defence is relatively strong, tackling at around that 92-93% mark for a majority of their recent games. I think the bye week is a good place for the Box straight after the Tonga game so we can recover from any injuries, says Venster. And whereas George says Jack, it is currently 2:54 a.m. here in New Zealand, so George will be sound asleep by now. We've still got one more game straight after this one, and it will be Wales taking on the Fijians. Never underestimate our Box. Just watch how it is done. Go the Box, says Paula. And also, I hope we see a brilliant game. South Africa to win it. Good luck. Dwan. Go, old boy, says Ron. I believe that is for Dwayne Vermeulen. You're right, Hamish, says Brian. And also we have got there in the chat, has the match started? It is not. So we are still sitting around maybe 45 minutes away from the kickoff. Something that a lot of people have been talking about before this game, though, is actually not to do with what will be happening on the field after the whistle blows. People are concerned with the choirs that are going to be taking place just before the game for the national anthems. People are a little bit worried that they may end up butchering these 2 national anthems. So hopefully that's not the case. Both sides will be fired up. Flower Scotland will be ringing out in the stadium, as well as the Bok national anthem. We have got their Bok, says Warren, but I should mention, looking through at a few of the other bits of information that I have put together for this one, for anyone wondering about what next week looks like for the games that are taking place. France versus Uruguay and New Zealand versus Namibia, both Pool A games will be taking place on Friday morning, which is Thursday night, South African, and also New Zealand versus Namibia, that will be on the Friday night. Samoa, they will have their first fixture of the Rugby World Cup up against an elusive Chile side who were able to get themselves the first try of the match up against Japan, in which they were defeated 42 points to 12. Wales versus Portugal, the Portuguese first game of the competition. Ireland versus Tonga, same can be said about them, and Ireland coming off that massive victory over the Romanians, looking to increase that points differential, keep the points rolling in, and try and get themselves the top of the pool. But of course, everyone knows Ireland versus the winner of this game will be the determining factor for who makes it through at the top of the group. South Africa, they will be playing the Romanians. They will be looking, of course, to get a massive points differential in that game. Australia versus Fiji, I believe, going to be the best fixture of next week. A lot of the other games, I have to say there aren't many that look like they're going to be too even. Looks like it's going to be one-sided affairs. And to be fair, it's pretty much every side on this side is expected to win by quite a large margin. Wales, Portugal might not be too bad, though. That might have to be one to watch out for. But Australia, Fiji, I feel it could definitely be a back-and-forth encounter. And England versus Japan, if Japan can show up relatively well, maybe that one could be quite close as well. But while we are just before this match, ladies and gentlemen, do let me know what has been your favourite game of the Rugby World Cup so far in terms of entertainment value, in terms of match of the round. What would you go with? The Springboks and Carnivores, sometimes they eat lions for breakfast, says Dylan. And also we have got there a great day for Strickland, and South Africa. Yeah, I did hear about the result. I didn't get to watch the pay-per-view, as I believe right before the main event was when I actually went to sleep, because we hadn't slept for about 24 hours before that stage. But we are somehow still awake. And Rikus du Plessis will take up rugby after he beats Adesanya. Says bystander, that would seem like a bit of a waste though, because I feel like his grappling, he'll be able to tackle a few individuals, but with the fact he won't be able to elbow them and punch them in the face afterwards, I feel he would be wasted in a game of rugby. The media reports that the Scottish team is in high spirits. Personally, I don't think drinking before the game is a good idea. Says Truth, a monumental game here. This World Cup has so many good matchups, says Username. It certainly does. The big games just keep on coming and coming and coming. These two games, Scotland versus South Africa, as well as Wales, Fiji, I hope will be the two closest games of the weekend, but there is also a chance that we do see a bit of a runaway. Pieter-Steph du Toit's pressure will make Finn Russell look like an average fly half, says Johan. And yeah, I believe that Pieter-Steph du Toit, his job in this game will be to try and make Finn Russell uncomfortable, which sounds like a weird statement, but he needs to get right up in his face. Anytime that there's a breakdown as well, South Africa, they will look to try and drive a couple forwards over it, look for those counter rucks. They did it well in the game up against the All Blacks, didn't really allow the ABs to play their natural game. And then also at scrum time, I'm expecting a little bit of dominance coming on the Bok side. We have got Bok 37, Scotland 21, says it was there from Aggie Bags. And also we have got there Argentina versus England for the pick of the games, says Adrian there as well. One moment, we will go like this. Water. Going to be very important throughout these live streams, or else my voice will completely disappear, which I do not want to happen. That is for sure. Has Ben Healy on the bench for Scotland? I don't believe so, no. I think the only Ben in their side is Ben White, and he is in the starting lineup. How did you manage to sleep from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m? Couldn't fall asleep at 4, says Jack. It becomes a lot easier when you haven't slept for about 24 hours beforehand, because as soon as my head hit that pillow, I was out like a light. And then straight back up at about, I think it was 9 p.m. I ended up waking up so that I was all ready to go. Kershana said, thanks for the brilliant channel. Well done. Guys, smash that like button and subscribe. So yeah, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are covering every game of the Rugby World Cup on the channel. Guys, also don't underestimate Scotland. Exactly right. We've seen Scotland. They've pulled off upsets before. That game up against France was one that, even though it was at Murrayfield, they weren't expected to win it. And they were able to get over the line. Pieter-Steph du Toit given PTSD. Says okay, and how who's on the bench for Scotland? We will look through at the benches in a very short moment. Is there a fire? Says Anthony. My fire was going earlier on, if that's what you're meaning. I think it's gone out now, though. Unfortunately, do you take any energy drinks, Hamish? I do not. I only drink the water during these streams, and also beforehand as well. We have got there. We have not really had an upset this weekend, just saying. Says Trevor. I was talking about that earlier on as well. Like France, yes, they came in as slight underdogs, but as a home nation in a World Cup, they were still expected to do relatively well. So the biggest upset of the weekend, if it did happen in this game, would be if Scotland were able to win. But if Scotland don't win, the biggest upset could still come just around the corner, and that would be Fiji being able to get themselves the win over Wales. South Africa lost versus Japan many years ago. So let's see what happens. South African living in Japan. Says play Nice there. And also we have got there in the chat, let's go South Africa from Cynthia. When are they playing? Says Francois. They are playing in less than 45 minutes time. It's still a little bit in the future, of course, but we are getting ever so closer to the start of the Rugby World Cup campaign. They are just talking about it here. I think they're showing Doan van der Merwe for the Scottish. It's going to be an intriguing one, though, because he is a massive unit. I don't think we talked about him enough when we were looking through at the starting lineups. Oh, there you go. 2023, South Africa averaging the most tries out of any of the teams in the top. So that certainly shows that they've got a lot more try-scoring ability this year than some of the past years that we have seen. Let me throw a spanner in the works here. Their man WP now is one strong scrummager, says Ockert, and he will be coming off the bench. Keeping tabs on the black sacks. Which sport we talking? They play cornhole, perhaps. Their name is the Black Sacks, unless you're talking the Black Cats, the All Blacks. It's actually, I was going to say the badminton side. It's actually called the Black Cocks is the name. That is the official name of the New Zealand badminton side. I was once relatively decent at badminton, but I didn't really want to join a team called that. Yeah, madman, you're going to start hallucinating, says Tucker, and you guys will get to witness it. That's the thing. I talked about it on the last live stream. Over the last 60 hours, I've managed 8 hours of sleep due to this Rugby World Cup. So I'm hoping that I will continue being awake throughout these ones, of course, but they are just showing the head-to-head. 28 matches between the two sides, 23 wins in favour of South Africa, and 5 for Scotland. The biggest winning margin that South Africa have ever beaten Scotland by was 58. And I've known that ever since that match between Ireland and Romania, with the points differential in that game, a lot of people have said that this is going to be even higher than that, but I don't believe so. I think it's going to be a close game down to the wire, I hope. As their Munster players in the Fiji today? No, Fiji are all from the Fijian draw, as well as from the French competition. You seem thirsty, says Donovan. Well, I had quite a bit of water, so I don't want to be drinking too much. Amish, your dedication is unmatched, says Albert there. Either that, it can be considered dedication. It could also be considered as stupidity for staying up for so long. I always say, do not do what I do, ladies and gentlemen. Do not stay up for more. Well, normally it's about more than 14 hours, isn't it? They normally say, or 16 hours. Supposed to be the most. We've done a bit more than that throughout this weekend. Time for a shock. Scotland win and Box don't blame the ref, says Saturday player. And also we get there, Oosh, suit and tie time, says Richard. It is certainly a big match, Phil. Is that an Australian thing, says Wise One? The staying up late or drinking water? You remember me, Wade, from the Stormers? Says Wade. And of course, the URC just around the corner, but I hope you are doing well, Wade. Do you feel that they will be able to get themselves the title this year? Do let me know. And we have got their spread as the Box by 11, says Wise One. And awesome, can't wait, in favour of Scotland, says Eldridge. And there as well. But looking at the poll, I did see that it was about 80% in favour of South Africa. Scotland at around that 10, and also a little bit in terms of that draw. Roger Federer is supporting the Box. Let's go, boys, says Alfie. And there as well. But looking through at the starting lineup once again for the Springboks, it is Stephen Kickoff at number 1. Malcolm Marx will be 2 for this game. And then at number 3, they have gone with the dangerous Frans Malherbe, Eben Etzebeth, and Franco Mostert as the lock-in duo after the performance that these two men put on in their last outing, they had to make sure that they kept them together. They could have gone with Jean Klein. They could have given the opportunity maybe to Marvin O'Ree just to get his confidence up a bit more. But the Springboks knew that if they wanted to be effective early on in this contest, they needed those turnovers in the lineouts. And that is what these two offer. Sia Khaleesi, he will be there at number 6, and he is also the captain for this game. Peter Steph-Toy at number 7. They've talked about him all week being the pressure man when it comes to Finn Russell, trying to cut him off. Talking to Gregor Townsend just before this game as well. He will be knowing that South Africa are going out there for a fight and that they want to make a statement. Jesper Wiese at number 8. I mentioned it earlier on as well. The more surprising man who was in that 4-pack, mainly because a lot of people felt they'd go with Dwayne Vermeulen. But maybe the reason they've gone with Vermeulen off the bench is because he is actually in the better form. Faf de Klerk at 9 with Manie Libbok at number 10. Now this man, Manie Libbok, he's been through a lot over the last few weeks. He went from the guy that people didn't want to see in their starting side. Then he went back to the guy that people were a bit more keen on. Then he had his performance up against Wales where he wasn't able to get his kicks over and people started worrying about what he was going to do come time for this World Cup. He was still able to get himself multiple try assists throughout that Welsh game though. So I was still hoping he had some brilliance just around the corner up against the All Blacks, kicking 100%. Everyone is now behind him as the fly half, which is fantastic to see. And hopefully he has a good game here. Damien de Allende at number 12, a man who's a little bit out of form, but still has a lot of ability to be able to get points on the board, crash up at the line, make those running meters, and also make the tackles along the way. Jesse Creel on the outside, scoring himself 2 tries in his last outing up against the Welsh. Cheslin Colby out on the left rather than Makazole Mapimpi. Kurtley Arunsa takes the right wing spot, and then Damien de Allende, that's not his name, Damien Willemse, the other Damien. He will be at number 15 for the Springboks. He's opted to start rather than Willie LaRue. Looking through at the chat, we have got quite a few people already, so I do appreciate every single one of you for being here. If you haven't already, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We have got there. Pick a team. Who do you think will surprise, and one who will flop? Well, at the moment, the floppers unfortunately look like it's going to be Argentina. After their performance up against England, they were playing like the All Blacks, dropping the ball, giving away penalties, and that group is now completely wide open, and there's a chance that Argentina may miss out on those quarterfinals. Looking at a team that I think will do a lot better than some anticipated, I would probably say, is Australia a bit of a cop-out, seeing as people assume that they were going to eventually find their form once more? But I feel like Australia, with the fact that now they've got themselves the first win, they might be getting back on the right track. Fun fact, there was a guy playing games for 52 hours and died from a heart attack, says Trademasters360, which is why you should always sleep, ladies and gentlemen. Sleep is important. Also, hydration is important. So if you haven't already, be sure to get yourself a nice glass of H2O or some sort of beverage, because this game is going to be an entertaining one. South Africa is going to win. Go boys, says Laura, and Scotland will win it with brilliant play in the final quarter, says Steve McKinney. And we have seen some brilliant closes from the match, or of the match, by Scotland. We saw in their first game up against Georgia that they were a little bit hesitant near the start of the game, but once they started finding that momentum, that is when they were going very good in the second 40. South Africa could be the floppers, says Kieran there. And a huge percentage of people assuming they are lifting the cup. They haven't even made it past, or haven't even made a pass yet, says Kieran. That is very true. And at the end of the day, a lot of people felt Argentina were going to do extremely well. And then now that the World Cup is here, it's just a different feel, isn't it? And first try scorer, Cheslin Colby. Darcy Graham, second try scorer for 100-1, says Tucker there. So hopefully it ends up working out for you. La France, says Sandy there. And also Cedar's out for the big ones, says Yako. And there as well, my South Africa is going to win, even going to the finals. The Rainbow Nation, says Thamang. And I feel like this is one of those games that both sides will have nerves, but I'd like to think that in the first 10 minutes or so, they'll get all of those out of the way. The last game between Chile and Japan was actually an extremely long one. I believe it went for just over 2 hours. There was a lot of TMO involved. There were 2 yellow cards for one side, 1 yellow card for the other. 1 yellow card didn't get upgraded to the red, unlike Tom Curry's one from yesterday. Hi, Hamish. Any idea who the ref is? I'm not actually too sure who's in charge of this one. I know that Raynell has had a big game. Nick Berry's had a big game. Piper's had a big game. The Georgian referee. Who are we leaving out? It must almost be a Kiwi in charge of this one, or maybe an Irishman, maybe? Is it Angus Gardner, the Aussie? And I agree, Bok in the final. In the stands are spectating. Says Kerr, and Laura, I think his name is Hamish. Says Anthony, it is indeed. And I'm French. I hope we win this year. Allez la France. Says Sandy, on paper you'd have to say South Africa, but before this tournament started, I picked Scotland as my dark horse. One to watch out for. Scotland are definitely on the up for sure, says Barry. And it's slightly unfortunate for them, because if this draw was taken a little bit later on, rather than as early as they did, I believe that Scotland could have found themselves they would have been in a different group. Who would they have been up against? I know that the top 8 sides all end up split out throughout the pool, so they could have ended up with a few other teams in their group, which they probably had a decent chance of being able to go through, and should change the name of the channel to Kiwi Lad, since you're the only one that's here consistently, says Jack. It's always been about the lads, though. And also, I guess, yes, the others aren't on the channel a huge amount, but they were still there right at the start when we started the channel. And in a way, I guess you guys are the lads and the ladesses as well. We don't forget about our 1% female audience, but, at the end of the day, the only way it would be the Kiwi Lad is if you guys weren't in the chat here alongside me. The Kiwi part, I can take, seeing as I'm from New Zealand, but you guys, of course, the lads. And time to kick some jock butts. Koi Bok says Alfie, and back on Amish, says Neil. And when I saw Curry's red, I thought it was really harsh. What have the views been on your channel? I felt that it was a harsh red card, definitely because if you get to catch a replay of Japan versus Chile, there was actually a red card or a yellow card that wasn't upgraded that I thought was a lot worse. But because it didn't cause a big cut, they didn't look at it as much, which is a little bit concerning. Italy to beat New Zealand. It's a hard one to predict, isn't it? I feel like that game will be a lot closer than first anticipated going to this Rugby World Cup. I'd still like to think New Zealand would be able to get themselves the victory in that game, but it is an extremely hard one to work out how it will go. This is the most difficult pool, but we will see the box on the top this year again, says Dylan. And more than likely, if they finish at the top, with the way that Pool A sits, it will mean that it will be a Springboks versus All Blacks quarter-final of the Rugby World Cup. A lot of people wanted to see it for the final, but it just seems like the way that the pools are sitting, there may be a chance that we see it a bit sooner than anticipated. Chile versus Namibia or Romania for the final. I wonder what odds I get for that, says Brian. Well, you'd probably be able to buy a house with $1. That is the type of odds you'd have for that one. 953 watching and only 135 likes. Why? Hit that like button. This is a nice feed, says Ocker. Yeah, anyone who hasn't already, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It is hugely appreciated you all being here for these matchups. We are only sitting less than 30 minutes away from the kickoff. These two sides, they'll be going out there wanting to put on a clinical show. And I do believe that this game has a lot of potential of being the match of the weekend. And what do you think of this World Cup so far? It's an interesting one. I'd almost say it's slightly anticlimactic, just in a way in terms of the results we have seen. But it seems to be a competition that the underdog, the ones that people don't expect to do well, have had themselves a couple magical moments. Romania scoring first up against the Irish. That will be one that I know a lot of people will be celebrating for the Romanians. Chile in their game up against Japan, scoring the first try. Namibia put in the fight to Italy throughout that first half. But every time, it just seems to be in that second 40 minutes that we see those lower sides just slightly dwindle off. We have got there 17:45. So yeah, it will be a 5:45 p.m. kickoff in South Africa. So be sure to check that one out. And that England game was rubbish. I'm English, says Neil. Yeah, that was one of those games that I know a lot of people were heavily looking forward to. But at the end of the day, England won. They had to win, and they managed to win it, if that makes sense. They could have easily ended up with Argentina sneaking a victory if they had tried to play the game of the Pumas. But England getting themselves those points. Underwhelming build-up, says Blindside XV. And fancy Fiji to down Wales, says Michael. And there as well. And we have also got there in the chat, are you wearing the Chile jersey underneath the suit, Hamish? I am not. That Chile jersey was way too small. I felt like I was being like put into a vacuum seal and getting like squeezed and sucked all the air out of me when I had it on. So I've taken it off now. Feeling a lot more free. England came away with confidence, which is a big plus, says Robert Wood. And they got themselves the much needed victory up against an Argentine side that I believe, they should still be able to fire back. Their next game, Argentina, I think they're playing Japan, if I'm not wrong, in the next matchup around the corner. The weather is going to play a huge role in how these games pan out. Wonder who it will be for this game. And the heat is something that they'll certainly have to deal with. Lucanio Arm currently on I think that's the Super Sport talking box. I think he's travelling with the squad as well, just as a backup, although I don't believe his injury will allow him to actually play. Hello, Hamish Johannesburg wearing the green and gold. It's Fuff's 50th cap, therefore I'm expecting him to run out onto the field in his South African Speedo. South Africa will take this match, says Gail. I don't think they'll allow Fuff de Klerk to run out in his Speedo. But, I mean, if he was given the option, I'm sure he'd be like, yeah, why not? Might as well. I don't like England or anything England related. But when you win, down a man, congrats, says Mo. And yeah, they just played a very tactical game of rugby. They got 3 drop kicks from George Ford. That is something that we certainly were not anticipating for that game. I don't think we'll be getting more than 1 drop kick in this game. At a guess, Scott, sorry lads, I believe the box should sort you guys out, says Nelson. But we should mention, just because one of these two sides lose this game does not mean that their hopes of making it through to the quarterfinals are completely gone. Ireland, they got themselves a massive victory over the Romanians. They have now got a points differential of plus 76. Fuff plays in the Budgie Smuggler underneath, says Bystander. And also, guys, imagine if Scotland actually won. It would be the biggest win in the pool stages. This is a real exciting match, says Username. And as we get that little bit closer to the kickoff, the tension, it's starting to build up a little bit more. People realising the first game of the Rugby World Cup for these two sides is just around the corner. In 2 hours and 30 minutes time, we will know who's won this game. We will know who sits top of that pool. In fact, at the moment, I'm comfortable to say Ireland will be sitting top of Pool B at the end of round number 1. Now, I need to clarify, end of round number 1. But that is because they beat Romania in a massive margin. As you can see here, 82 points to 8. So they should be sitting at the top at the end of this round, unless, of course, one of these two sides win this game by 77 points or so. But France, they were able to get themselves the victory over New Zealand, the hosts, well and truly stepping up to the plate in themselves that 14-point win. Italy having a good game up against Namibia, definitely playing better in the second 40 minutes than the first 40. It was relatively close going into halftime, but actually a very good performance from Namibia as well throughout that game, I thought. So hopefully more from them in the future. Australia, they were able to get themselves their first win of 2023. That was against Georgia, 35 points to 15. England getting 27 points on the board, all from 3-pointers to beat the Argentines, 27 points to 10. And then Japan, more recently, getting themselves the victory over Chile, 42 points to 12. And I have to say that Chilean halfback, if no one has signed him yet after the performance that he had in that game, I would be very surprised, because there'll be a lot of teams around the world going, maybe we should start looking at this Chilean side once more. But the odds for this game, South Africa, as you can see, they are favourites going into this match. That number in the middle that says 26, that is for the draw in this game. And I want to say that could be a little bit more likely than first anticipated. Scotland, they are underdogs, the biggest underdog of the 2 games left. They'll be looking to cause the upset. Fiji also coming as underdogs up against Wales. They are sitting as $1.57 favourites. Looking through at the chat, we have got there Scotland Rugby as Champagne in the chat. And also just joking, Fuff does the Ford Ranger truck 4x4 ad in his Speedo, says Gale. And the Scots know the Boks are going to bring massive power up front. Any ideas on how they might use Finn to mitigate, says Steve? I think that they might have to play Finn Russell just a little bit deeper. But then the thing is, if the Springboks are able to rush up like we saw from England, that's going to make it, even with the fact that he's back further, he could still ending up getting charged down. He's jealous. He can't wear a Speedo. Says Pose. I don't know whether or not that's to me. I mean, I've got a Speedo on. No, I don't. I don't have a Speedo on right now. I should clarify. But I have got some South African colours on me briefs. We have got there. Will you be able to watch the game? Sadly, due to licensing, any match footage or audio gets us taken straight off YouTube. But we will be doing the play-by-play all throughout this fixture. Bok will either finish top of the group or they won't even qualify. Thoughts? Says Kerr. I think for the Springboks, they're a side that love momentum. And if they can get off to a brilliant start in this game, score themselves some early points on the board, I feel like they'll be able to continue that momentum right through this group stage. But like you said, with how close this group is, all it takes is one loss and you might end up missing out completely. So they have to make sure they start well. Same with Scotland. They've been able to get themselves few wins recently. They did have that loss to to France, but other than that, winning 3 of their last 4 after the Six Nations. Is 4 or 5 games enough to prepare for a Rugby World Cup after Super Rugby? Says Blindside XV. It should be, theoretically, and I think that a lot of sides, Argentina, they only had 2 warm-up games, so perhaps in this case, we start to look at those numbers and go, maybe they were a little bit underprepared from just playing the twice, once against South Africa, which they were defeated, once against Spain, in which they were able to win that game very comfortably by around that 60 points. And also we have got the afternoon from Brazil, welcome in. And also prettier champagne sparkles than whiskey, says Bruno. And I bet the Springboks won't lose any test the rest of this year, says Albert. Question, ladies and gentlemen, I think I know the answer, but we do not have any November internationals taking place after the World Cup, do we? It's straight into the URC, straight into the Gallagher Premiership. I don't believe we get any more international games. The only one close is Wales versus the Barbarians. That has taken place after the Rugby World Cup. 35 degrees Celsius, so hot for the Scots, says Bruno, and hot for the Springboks as well. At the end of the day, both of these sides, they don't prepare to be playing in 35-degree heat. Oxnashay's currently got a cold towel on his head. Just got given to him by one of the trainers to try and keep him cool while going through the warm-up preparations. He's the same size as a terrier, says Kerr. And also the away outfits from the Boxers offensive to those blessed with the gift of sight, says Sighted. This is like playing in Durban, says Charles. Although it's a World Cup. And I feel like even if you are the defending champions, there's still nerves. We've got to remember a lot of these young players for the Springboks who are in the squad, they haven't experienced a World Cup before. Looking through at those forwards, we'll start with them. And quite a few new names, but also a bit of experience still in that department. They have gone with Dion Fourie. He is one of the players who was added in for this World Cup. Jesper Wiese, he did not play in the 2019 World Cup that I know of. I think it was just after that he made his way into the team. A lot of these other names, though, other than Marvin Ori, have already been there, done that when it comes to World Cups. Maka van Staden, hugely experienced player for the Bulls. He's coming off the bench in this game, and I believe will make a real impact in the back line. This is where there are more players that we haven't experienced in a World Cup before, whether that is Andre Esterhuizen. I had a little bit of an interview with him a while ago where he was talking about how all you want to do is go out there, represent your country, and now he gets that opportunity on the grandest stage. Kanan Moody, he was probably still in high school at the time of the last World Cup. And then also Mani Libok, Damien Valimza, Kurtley Arendse, Jaden Hendrickse, a lot of young guys hoping to make their mark here. But in the in the halfback department for this game, they've gone with Faf de Klerk. And then also off the bench, it will be Grant Williams. We have got there the game starting at 17:45. So yeah, only 20 minutes away from the kickoff of this match. Before that, of course, we are going to have the national anthems, which are going to be sung more than likely by the choir. Bet Faf's hair is all fluffy and soft and blow-dried, especially for the game, says Gail. And we bet France and Durban last time, Hamish, says Charles. You did. But the reference that I was making was the fact that it was played at the World Cup for this game. Right now, 2023. We can look at the past results all we like, but the thing that matters now for these two sides is this one. Because the Springboks, they're the defending champs. They'll want to do that once more, but they can't rely on that to be the reason that they make it far. They have to rely on doing what they've done recently, doing what they did in the game up against the All Blacks, because that was one of the best performances we have seen from the Springboks in a very long time. Talk is that the Boks in training have lost as much as 3 kilos, says Ocker. Yeah, they were talking about it before one of the other games, that some of these players are losing 5 kgs in water weight going out there on the park, and they have to rehydrate over the next about 3 or 4 days. But you got to remember, that almost gets you to next week when you have to play again. So player management is going to be hugely important throughout this World Cup. The benefit that the Springboks have, they've got some almighty forwards, some brilliant backs that aren't even playing in this game, whether that is going to be Kanan Moody, Andre Esterhazen. Hamish, when are you coming to Cape Town, says Herman. The budget doesn't quite allow me to go to Cape Town at the moment. I haven't actually even bought a new chair at this stage. As you guys can see, I'm still on that same wooden one that I was using about 3 months ago. But one day I'd love to go to South Africa, watch a few rugby games, Cape Town Stadium, Loftus Versfeld, Emirates Airline Park, all the different ones around. And the choir's anthems suck, only the French, says Johnny. I know that it's been the thing that's been criticised the most about this World Cup, which sounds funny to say, isn't it? The fact that it's not even the rugby that has taken place that's been criticised, but it is instead the choirs. And thanks, Charles. Isn't he a Scot? If so, is that fair? Says Gail. And also we have got there, Go the Box, says Caro. Hit that like button, says Bystander. Yeah, anyone who hasn't already, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We have got plenty more coming up in the future. And dude, you are funny, says Grom. Although he said a bad word first, so does that mean I'm not funny, I assume? I'll take not funny. I'll take it. And Dan, 20 minutes before the start, I'll be on my way to work, says Zion. And Springboks to win by 20 points, says Monet Lagrange. And Cape Town is the best, says a wise one. Now, I will ask for your score predictions, ladies and gentlemen, of course, as we get a little bit closer to the kickoff. But the other side of things, of course, is who is going to score the first try in this match. The exact player, who is everyone picking? Now, for me, I feel like Kurtley Arunsa is definitely a choice that would be relatively up there in terms of the try-scoring likeliness. The 4-pack for the Boks also could be an option. I think if anyone for Scotland scores first, it will be Duan van der Merwe, just with that bit of extra size. We have got there, he said, you are really funny, says Stone there. And it means that you are... Does it? See, I thought KAK was actually bad. But is it like combined with something good, so then it kind of like it becomes good? And Stretch Fletcher said, looking sharp, thank you very much, mate. Darcy Graham says, Calmac, another very good option to be able to score the first try. Cape Town is pissing down at the moment, says Bystander. And luckily, well, I don't know whether or not it's luckily, because I think the players wouldn't mind a bit of rain just to end up with a bit more, I guess, cooliness as they're out there on the field. Very funny, says Grom. Okay, well, thank you very much. Hugely appreciated. A nice COVID tie, says Robert. And also we have got there, and there means, but combines means extremely funny, says Charles. And everyone know when I can watch the actual match for free. If you go onto the Rugby World Cup website, they will have the option of a where to watch tab, and it is on the right-hand side where the 3 little lines are. Where to watch, and depending on whereabouts you are in the world, will depend on your options for being able to watch it. So for myself, if I click on where to watch, broadcasters, they've got broadcasters in Africa, Americas, Asia and Oceania, as well as Europe. I assume that you're in South Africa in the case. So South Africa, and in the Sub-Sahara is Super Sport. Middle East and North Africa is Star Plays. And then also South Africa is SABC, and that is a completely free option to be able to watch, that I know of anyway. And they will do all of the Springboks game, just not all of the games of the Rugby World Cup. Go Scott, says Bruno. The Boks by 40, Marks to score first, says Trade Master. So Malcolm Marks to score first would probably insinuate that the Springboks are going for the corner a little bit more, unless, of course, he is scoring an open play, which could be a probability for Malcolm Marks. We saw him do that in the game up against the All Blacks, opening up in the try of his own. Off to watch with some of my mates. Almost sorry, I missed your commentary, says Fletcher, but no worries at all. Be sure to enjoy the game. At the end of the day, your environment starting to build. Be sure to absolutely enjoy it, and hopefully it is a very exciting game. They're just showing the big man, Eben Etzebeth, warming up with his team. He's an enforcer. Will you stream the game for us? Sadly not, but like I mentioned, SABC, perfect option of being able to watch it, and is a rehashed version of the Supersport feed, says Charles. And watching from Canada, says Natsa, thank you very much for being here. You are doing extremely well. Looking through at the starting lineups for anyone who hasn't seen it, we will start with the Springboks, and their starting side will be as follows. Stephen Kitsoff at number 1, Malcolm Marks as number 2, and Franz Malherbe as 3. Now, Stephen Kitsoff, he has that ability of getting over the ball, winning turnovers for his side. Same can be said about Malcolm Marks, and of course that physicality that Malherbe offers. I've just realised that scrum time, it's Malherbe versus Schoeman, so that will be must-see. Eben Etzebeth and Franco Mostert, the combination that the Springboks went with in the game up against the All Blacks, it did prove effective throughout that game, so it is exactly what they have gone with here up against Scotland. Sia Khaleesi, the captain, at number 6, Peter Steph-Totoy at number 7, and Jasper Wiese gets the chance to start at number 8. Dwayne Vermeulen, he is still in the side. He will just be coming off the bench as that late impact player. Faf de Klerk starting this game, and it is his 50th cap as well for the Springboks. So what a monumental game to bring it up in, the opening one of the Rugby World Cup 2023. Manie Libbok, he is yet to bring up 10 caps. He's getting close, slowly getting himself cemented as their starting fly half for the Boks. Had a tremendous kicking game up against the All Blacks with 100% accuracy, and also still getting himself a few try assists. Damien de Allende at number 12 with Jesse Creel on his outside. Last outing from Creel, managed to get himself 2 tries up against Wales. De Allende looking to find that form that he has had in the past, and at the moment he's got Andre Esterhuizen breathing on his neck, waiting for that opportunity to possibly get the start. Cheslin Colby out on the left wing, Kurtley Arendse out on the right, try scoring machine, clinical as they come, and definitely looking to get himself a try in this game. And Damian Willemse, number 15 for the Springboks, a player who, when partnered with Manie Libbok as that 10-15 combo, at times have looked unstoppable. But now looking through at the chat, we are getting extremely close to the kickoff, ladies and gentlemen, only around that 10 minutes away from it taking place. We have got there Arendse to score first, says Dylan there. Scotland by 3, says Repent. And also we have got there, agreed Kevin, says Neil. And also we have got there, I hope it will be a 15-15 match, no red cards and fair refereeing, says Bruno. Yeah, the last couple games we have seen quite a few yellows, quite a few reds, and I'm hoping that's not going to be the case though when we get to this contest. 2 key players for Scotland are South African, says Herman. I mean, there's a few decent Scottish players in this backline, and I'm sure that is exactly what they will want to use. But the man that everyone is talking about when it comes to South Africa, when it comes to Scotland, is Finn Russell. Whether or not he's able to play his natural game, if he can, then Scotland will be able to find themselves a little bit of success throughout this fixture. But if he isn't able to get himself a little bit of freedom at number 10, getting it out wide, hitting it up to Tui Pelotu, who will be looking to drive forward, could be a long day at the office for Scotland. But in the front row, it is Pierre Schoeman, George Turner, and Xander Fagerson for Scotland. Richie Gray and Grant Gilchrist as the lock-in duo. Jamie Ritchie, Rory Darge, and Jack Dempsey, the loose forward trio. Ben White and Finn Russell, the 9-10 combo. Sione Tuipulotu and Hugh Jones. That is a lot of power coming from that middle for the Scottish, and you'd almost say, at a slight stretch, the more informed combination at 12 and 13 out of the 2 sides. I said it, but that's only because Damien de Allende just needs that big match to get him back in the swing of things. Duan van der Merwe out on the left, Darcy Graham out on the right, and Blair Kinghorn at number 15. But they are just showing the atmosphere. It is slowly building at the stadium. We have got there, and there, green for go, says Robert. And also we have got there FDK cheats nearly as well as green used to. Okay, not sure what that means. And I went to the pub for this game. No load shedding for me. Go the Bok. And also we have got there, no such free viewing if you don't have a TV with connections. You have become important to South African listeners, says Goldberg. And I've always said about it how this is, I guess, the way that we try and have it so that even the ones who aren't able to see the game can still kind of feel the atmosphere, feel what is going on throughout the match, so that when they do have access to the highlights after, they will be able to see what we were talking about, but also just to be able to chat about the game. It's as if you guys are all sitting here with me. Is this game going to be live on this channel? Sadly, due to licensing and YouTube's restrictions and copyright, if we were to show any match footage, they'd take us straight off YouTube and they would ban us. When's the game start? 10 minutes time. We are getting very close. Now Bok have the best forwards, possibly worldwide. Scotland has the better backs, says Kerr. In the chat, they are just showing Duan van der Merwe. He is going to be trying his absolute best to bulldoze his way over the top of the box. Kurtley Arendse, the man who has got the short straw of having to mark him. Normally it would be Cheslin Colby out on that right wing, but due to the fact that he has gone over to the left, it means that Duan van der Merwe going head-to-head with Arnsa and then Cheslin Colby. He is going head-to-head with Darcy. Graham, you do us proud, says Arena Sig. Thank you very much. Don't underestimate the Scottish, says Hines. And yeah, I feel like the Scottish side, we know how dangerous they can be. And in the first about 10 minutes or so, this is when we're going to get to see how much ball Finn Russell is able to get through the back line. And Hamish, you're a good dude. Basically the best Kiwi pundit to listen to, unbiased for sure. So here's Aiko there, and that is always the goal, to be completely unbiased when watching these games so that you guys are able to enjoy it. Whether you go for the Springboks, whether you go for Scotland, we try and call these games right down the middle. Pound for pound, Russell versus Libok. Who have you got, says Sean Lees? I think in terms of creating a magical moment, I would go with Finn Russell. But in terms of who I feel will actually have probably the more solid performance, I would have to go with Marnie Libok here, because Marnie Libok in his last few games, he has actually got himself try assists consistently throughout those games. I also mentioned about it earlier on, how for Scotland, they haven't been conceding a huge amount of tries, but the Springboks in their last 4 outings have only conceded, or in fact 3 outings, 1 try per match. Yes, my alarm worked, looking sharp, Amy says BP. And thanks, says okay. And there as well, but they are just showing the Springboks when they were getting off the bus. Peter Steph-Toy, he has a huge amount of impact when he is out there on the field. He is starting at number 7 for this match, rather than the man at number 8 being Dwayne Vermeulen, his experienced counterpart. They have instead gone with Jasper Wiese, who I feel has the most pressure on him out of the South African forward back. Jesse Kriel got himself 2 tries in the game up against Wales. He will be starting at number 13 for this game, but he's also got someone like a Kane Moody right on his heels, trying to put pressure on him, saying maybe I should be the one who's out there on the field. Jesse Kriel to have a banger of a game. He is full of confidence now, says Cited. And Libok in a similar position to Ben Donaldson, says Blindside XV. And Ben Donaldson actually one of the 7 players so far in this Rugby World Cup that we have seen bring up 2 tries in their opening fixture. We have seen Johnny Sexton get himself 2, Tyg Byrne, Peter O'Mahony, Bundy Aki, Mark Talair, Ben Donaldson, as well as Amato Fakatava. The question is, ladies and gentlemen, if you were to pick any player in this game, Scotland or South Africa, who would be the player that you think will get themselves 2 tries, if not 3? In this one, do they show the game or just talk? Sadly, we just talk because of licensing, and because of it, we do just do the play-by-play, but be sure to tune in if you haven't already. We have got their mental stream buffering, don't know what's happening, but we're here, says Sebastian. Welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing extremely well, and just arrived in the pub to get my breakfast. Lots of Bocky here, says Yvonne, and there's certainly going to be a lot of people watching this game all around the world. The Springboks, the defending champions, just about to make their way out onto the field for the first time in the Rugby World Cup 2023. I've mentioned about the fact that Ireland, they sit at the top of the bunch currently, and that is where they will stay at the end of round number 1. That is, of course, unless we see a 75-point victory by either of these 2 teams. So that is why Ireland, they will be number 1 at the end of round 1. But the question is whether or not they can continue that, or whether the winner of this game will then be able to take them over. But they are just showing the coin toss between South Africa and Scotland. Sia Khaleesi in charge of the Springboks today, and Rory Dash, the man in charge of the Scottish. But Angus Gardner, he will be the referee in charge of this game. He is the Australian. These are the results that we've seen already throughout this weekend, though. No huge upsets. The biggest one actually being France beating New Zealand, but they were only very marginally favourite. Question is, who are going to win these last 2 games? South Africa, Scotland, Wales, Fiji. We are covering them both on the channel, ladies and gentlemen. So if you are new to the channel, be sure to leave a like. We have got a super sticker from Arthur as well. Thank you very much, mate. Hugely appreciated for your generosity. And it is a flying pear by the looks of a pear with a cape on. I do enjoy it. We have got there, let the game begin, says Ocker. And also we have got there, Hafsa has said showed the bloody game. Sadly, we cannot show the bloody game, but it will be available on the Rugby World Cup website. You will be able to look exactly where your options are, depending on where you are in the world. If you're in South Africa, it is on SABC, but we cannot, as you put it, show the bloody game. We have got there, we already won the toss, says Charles. Question is that going to be the only thing? No. I was going to say, is that the only thing the Springboks are going to win today? But then I got scared because I know that they have a potential of going out here and absolutely tearing it apart out there on the park. We have got there, hi Hamish, Sweet Willie, it's been a while since Craig Small. Welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing extremely well. Flying Pierre, didn't expect to see fruit on a stream involving Scotland. Says Sebastian and SABC eventually came to the party. It's on there, says Charles. So that is your best bet. You want a delayed stream? It's by about 30 or so seconds, mainly because I'm on Sky Sport now rather than Sky Sport. What the F play the game, says Emily and Bella. Sadly, we cannot show the bloody game, but it will be on the Rugby World Cup website. You can see your best option to be able to watch it, because depending on where you are in the world, depends on what you can watch it on, pretty much. Best way I'll put it. I'm glad you're not watching the bloody game. The box kit is horrendous. It's unique. I know that some people like the away kit, some people absolutely despise it. But the two sides just about to make their way out onto the field for the Rugby World Cup 2023. First game for these two sides. They're showing Chisel and Colby, of course. When you think of the Springboks and you think of World Cups, you think of what that man did up against the English. OMG, what is the kit the Boks are wearing? A Jeepers looks like a Listerine commercial. Says Iko there. We have got their, it's the away kit. And also we have got their South Africa singing their chant, says Adam TNT. I think that South Africa will have quite a decent amount in attendance for this game in terms of maybe even a 50-50 split. It's closer, of course, for people to go from Scotland to head to France. But I think there was actually, the South African forwards singing before making their way to the field. I'm sorry, but if I'm Scotland, I am worried if the Springboks are as casual as doing a little bit of a singing song before making their way out onto the field. That tells me that they are locked in, they are ready to go, and they don't have a care in the world by the time they make their way out. But Faf de Klerk, first man to make his way onto the field all by himself for his 50th cap for the Springboks in Marseille. Now, we talked about it in one of our prediction videos. Rugby Itch, he has gone to this game, and I believe he was going to be wearing a Faf de Klerk wig. So if there was ever a time to be watching a game at the stadium with that wig, it would be with this matchup. We have got there where you can watch this game for free. If you are in New Zealand, I don't believe we've got too many options, unfortunately, for the Rugby World Cup in South Africa, though. You can watch it on SABC. Someone before just told me that the coverage has started up. Love the Bok boys chanting. Is that Koso or Zulu or something else? Says BP. And also we have got their Spicy Plum looking extra spicy today, says Cited. And I believe he's going to be one of the players of the tournament, Stephen Kitsoff. Although the player of the tournament that I predicted before any of the games took place is Malcolm Marks. So I kind of need him to have a good game in the starting lineup if that is going to be happening. It's 28 degrees there, says Adam TNT. So, of course, the heat is going to be playing factor in this game. Luckily, the stadium is relatively shaded other than that area on the far side in the crowd where it's pretty much looking directly into the sunlight. The players, though, they'll be in the shade out there on the field. Still, humidity will be playing factor. Quite a few drop balls, perhaps, throughout the early stages. Angelo, nothing like you say. Says Mitch there, but now we have got the choir singing the South African national anthem. So while they are singing the South African national anthem, we will look through at the Springbok side. Stephen Kitsoff at number 1, Malcolm Marks at number 2, and Frans Malherbe slotting in as the number 3. My apologies, they actually started with Scotland. I do now hear. I only heard the instrumental at the start. Eben Etzebeth at number 4. Franco Mostert will be the 5. Was able to get himself consistent line-out turnovers in the last game up against the All Blacks. Will want nothing less in this game. But against Scotland, Sia Khaleesi at number 6. Peter Steftatoy at number 7. And Jasper Fisa. Big opportunity for him in the starting side rather than Dwayne Vermeulen, Faf de Klerk and Mani Lebok. The 19 combination. 50th cap for de Klerk in this match. Damien Dialende and Jesse Creel as the midfield combo, opting for the experience factor rather than the young dynamic duo of Esterhuizen and Moody that we did see last week. Jesselyn Colby out on the left wing, Kurtley Arunsa out on the right, and Damian Balimza to close out the starting lineup for the South Africans. Looking through at Scotland's starting lineup, it will be Pierre Schoeman at number 1, George Turner at 2, and Xander Fagerson slotting in as the number 3, Richie Gray and Grant Gilchrist, the lock-in duo, Jamie Ritchie, Rory Darge, and also Jack Dempsey as the number 8, I should say. Ben White and Finn Russell, the 19 combination. So much weight weighs on Finn Russell's shoulders here. Whether or not he is able to get that backline firing, find the passes, to all the dangerous, elusive backs that they have got available. Sione Tuipulotu and Hugh Jones crash ball in the midfield there for the Scottish. Duan van der Merwe out on the left wing. Head there with Kurt Leorinsa. Something's got to budge in that combo, and we are soon to find out what it will be. Darcy Graham out on the right, and Blair Kinghorn, the number 15. I believe that there'll be a bit of a kicking game early on between these two sides, more than likely to try and put that pressure on, play the territory match and see whether or not they can find any cracks in the opposition to be able to exploit. Throughout the rest, we have got there, shut up and play the game, says Afsar. I'm surprised you're still here because we did tell you where you could watch the game, but some reason you're still looking at my face. Yeah, that's an error. Fans can't sing on a choral, says Bruno there, and also we have got their second good anthem, says Yvonne in there as well. But the national anthems are just about over, ladies and gentlemen, which will mean we are straight into the commentary action. Anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We have got a whole heap of Rugby World Cup content coming just around the corner. So if you do want to help us out, if you do want to support the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Has it started? Not quite. They are only minutes away from taking to the field once more. And South Africa, the defending champions, with their first game up against the Scottish. Where can we watch the game? If you are in South Africa, it is on SABC. That seems to be the best option that I've heard about in terms of being able to watch the games for free, although it is only Springbok games that they will be showing on there rather than every single match. We have got there Bocky from Yandre, and also let's get a pop in 24 points to 17. So we mentioned earlier on about who we thought would be the first try scorer of this game. Now do let me know, ladies and gentlemen, your score predictions for this match. I'm going to try and keep the voice throughout this live stream. Let us live and strive for freedom, and as South Africa, our land. See, I can actually play the South African national anthem on guitar. I should have brought it out for the opening game, shouldn't I? And best way to watch is with your eyes, says Blindside XB. And also we've got there Hamish, South Africa, or SABC is showing 16 games, says Connor, and ITV is free if you have a VPN, says Cal Mac there. But yeah, anyone who doesn't know where to watch this game, there is a Rugby World Cup website, which then has a section called Where to Watch. And then from there, you can find out exactly how it is available, whereabouts you are in the world. 35 points to 18 in favour of the Box, says Sean Lees. Is Moody on the bench for today? He is not. Instead, they have opted to go with Villy LaRue as the option off the Springboks bench, as well as Grant Williams, but they have gone with the 6-2 split rather than with the 7-1, like in the game up against the All Blacks. The match has started, says Sefui. We are very close to the start of the match. And, ladies and gentlemen, it will be the Springboks. They did get the call when it came to the toss, so it is going to be them kicking off to the Scottish. Get us underway in Marseille in only a few moments' time. But like I mentioned, anyone who is new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Go to the Springboks, says Lil. And also interesting, says Stone there. Hello, Goldfish, says Dilly Boy. The referee in charge of this one, Angus Gardner. Jordan Way, one of the assistant referees. Load shedding starting at 6. So you'll catch about 10 minutes of this game by the looks of it before the load shedding does kick in. But it is going to be Mani Libok, the Springbok, who will kick us off for this Rugby World Cup. Now, he has not been to a World Cup before, so this is going to be his first touch ever in that Rugby World Cup environment. Scotland, they are going from left to right, and the World Cup game between these two sides is almost underway. Mani Libok taking his time to line up this drop kick, and we are underway, ladies and gentlemen. Kicking towards the 22, and it's a knock-on straight away from Blair Kinghorn. Ball bounces up and ends up straight in the hands of Damien Dialendo. De Klerk goes to the left-hand side. Now Mani Libok going for the little grubber mine. Cheslin Colby chasing after it. The bounce wasn't favourable, and now it is going to be a line-out throw for the Scottish just inside of their own 22, but a cross-kick attempted with 30 seconds on the clock. Defending champs wanting to play this game with confidence early. We have got there Calmac Fair, and also got the South African jersey, said Adam TNT. Bagerson is a penalty / card machine. Nicely claimed by Scotland, though, inside of their 22. Charge down for the South African. First kick of the day from Finn Russell. Mostert got his hands on it, putting the pressure on Scotland early. They will only be 10 metres out from their line now, with the line out in their favour. George Turner will have to make sure this one's straight. He's gone over the top to the back, nicely taken by Jack Dempsey. Gets slammed down to the turf by, was the big man Malcolm Marks. Now Ben White looking to roll this one back. South Africa, territory-wise, have been all over Scotland throughout the early stages of this match, but now they will have their line-out throw. South Africa 35 metres out from Scotland's line, and this will be the first chance for us to witness this rolling maul. Match has started, says Laura. It certainly has. We are currently 1 minute 30 through. And go the box, says Bernie. And there as well. Coaches looking nervous, but also looking locked in for this game. Malcolm Marks. I've mentioned about how accurate this man's line-out is. Is he about to jinx me? He is not. Nicely taken by Eben Etzebeth. De Klerk goes across now to Mani Lebok. Jesse Creel, one more on the outside to Valimza. The captain, Kolisi, puts in the fend and throws Duan van der Merwe to the ground. That is a statement early on from the skipper. Now Faf de Klerk back across Mani Lebok. Going for the up and under. Doesn't look like anyone is chasing. And it is going to pull up in the in-goal area. Finn Russell deciding against going and putting the ball down, and instead kicks it back downfield towards the South African 40-metre line. Lebok slings it across now to Damien Valimza, the two Stormers linking up, going for the up and under. Ball bounces, normally a dangerous game when you allow that to happen, but Blair Kinghorn takes it now for Scotland. To the left, it's going to be White. Russell, big rush defence from Jesse Creel. Line-out style throw out to Hugh Jones, who was waiting on the wing. Creel, he went pretty upright into that challenge. Got to be very careful doing that, definitely because we've seen red and yellow cards already given this round of the World Cup. Here comes Cheslin Colby. Dragged down though by Rory Darge. Ball pops out the back to Stephen Kitsoff out of the breakdown on the halfway line now for the Springboks. De Klerk going to the left. Peter Steph-Toy tackled low by Sione Tuipulotu. We have to release him. De Klerk back across to Kitsoff. Quite a few Stormers in the starting lineup. A lot of them will be important throughout this game. De Klerk back to Mani Lebok, who will go for the kick once more up high. An awkward one for Finn Russell. Just tries to keep it in the field of play. Was Duan van der Merwe. There was a knock on though from South Africa. So now Scotland will have themselves the scrum feed. We have got SA, says your boy. And also we have got there watching on Supersport, but I'm glad for the live stream considering the load shedding, says Shanna. And there as well. And why is he talking? Because that's what commentary is. Unfortunately, sadly, due to licensing, we are unable to show match footage or audio on YouTube, or else YouTube give us a bit of a spanking. So instead, we do the radio-style commentary, and then from there, hopefully, you guys are able to find the match replay or the highlights when someone illegally uploads them to the YouTube channel. Not our one, though. Someone else's. Or when the official channels do put them on. We have got a new channel on the, new member on the channel. It is Rudy DeMeyer. Thank you very much, mate. Hugely appreciated. We have got there, can someone share their DSTV password with me? I need to watch this match, please, says your boy. And we have got there, why are you still talking? Says Winnie, once again, we can't show match footage. YouTube would get angry and we would possibly get sued, which would not be ideal. Now, 35 metres out from the line. It's going to be Scotland who have got themselves their scrum feed. How's the temperature, or has the temperature dropped? Luckily for them, they're in the shade in here, but I believe the air temperature is still around that 28, 27 degrees mark. Front rows both collapsing for the first scrum of the day. I believe it's going to be an intriguing battle here, seeing Xander Fagerson go head-to-head with Stephen Kitsoff, and then on the other side of the scrum, Frans Malharba going back-to-back, or going face-to-face with Pierre Schoeman. There, hi, says Vash, welcome in. The official Rugby World Cup channels have all the full games available less than an hour after final whistle, says Johan. So yeah, highly recommend checking out those options. They just don't have the live feed available, sadly. Although there are different options of being able to watch it around the world, you just have to go on the Rugby World Cup website, click on the picture that says where to watch, and then you can see all your options. A lot of them are free. Now, Ben White, Angus Gardner calls for the scrum to stay up, and that is exactly what it has done. A solid one from both sides. White goes back to Finn Russell. What does he want to do? Instead goes off to Duan van der Merwe rather than opting for the kick. It is a big run straight over the top of Cheslin Colby. A little bit of a counter-ruck there from the Springboks. White gets smothered by Jasper Vesa, who got round the side of the breakdown. Kolisi going for the counter-ruck as well. I mentioned about that before the game, that they were going to be trying to get a few extra men into those breakdowns, cause disruption for the Scottish side. Stephen Kitsoff goes round the side. Ball wasn't out, so it is a penalty against Kitsoff there. We have got there, have you considered simulcasting on Twitch, says Gus? It is also illegal to stream it on Twitch, sadly. But yeah, if there was any way of showing it without us getting sued, without us getting taken off YouTube and losing our job, I would do it. But sadly, they don't have that option. Scotland has got clause in there. And also we have got their stand, get him off here. Says Lancaster. And the Scots have to respond to the aggressiveness of the box. Says Bruno, yeah, the first thing that Scotland need to do is get out of their own half. And this penalty against Stephen Kickoff will be the perfect opportunity to be able to do so. 6.5 minutes through the game, though. Huge amount of tempo being played. Which channel on DSTV? Hopefully a fellow South African will be able to help you out with that one. And we have got there Malcolm Marks to score first, says Neil Harvey. He's a very good shout. He's the player who I said would be my player of the tournament. Stephen Kickoff does said he hasn't started from the back there. He came in through the side, which is why he was penalised. Over the top, taken nicely by Jasper Wiese. So the first line out for Scotland inside of South African territory has had a problem. Now the clerk going back across this time to Malcolm Marks. Mani Libbok going for the up and under once more. It seems to be a clear tactic from the Springboks. Kurtley Aldense not able to take it cleanly, but first knock on comes from Scotland, then from South Africa, and it will now be the scrum. We have got there, you may have stated before, but who have you got for the final? Originally, before the World Cup competition, I did have All Blacks versus Springboks as the final. I felt like that was going to be the perfect way to end the trilogy between the two teams, but unfortunately, with the way that New Zealand played, that doesn't seem as likely. I'll say, for the words no game footage, but people will still ignore it and ask you why you're not showing the game. Exactly right. We've done it before. We've had that down the bottom saying why we can't show it. We had the options of where to watch it, and we still had those same comments of where can they watch it. We have got there in the chat everybody playing or somebody playing the bagpipe in the stadium. They certainly are trying to fire up this Scottish crowd, although the Springboks now are going to have the opportunity. Oh, sorry, I meant simulcasting your commentary, not trying to get you in trouble. I don't actually know if there's much of a rugby market on Twitch. I haven't really looked too far into it, to be honest, but perhaps could be something in the future. Thanks, Hamish, for this respect, bro. Says Peter. You need to square up, says Angus Gardner. Now, that actually means something different down under. That means that he wants to have a bit of a boxing match with Kickoff. He won't win. I can tell you that right now. Kickoff would drop him like he was a stone. Thank you very much, Cindy, for becoming a channel member. Stereo commentary. Hamish left here English and SG. Right here Afrikaans, says France. South Africa in a good position on the field. Already 8 minutes down in this game. We know that the test match feel will be thoroughly throughout this contest. Chisel and Colby, though, he's been there, done that when it comes to a World Cup final. The man wants another one. The road to that final has to go through Scotland, through Ireland, through the possible host France. Penalty to South Africa now at scrum time. Getting the early push. I should say not early as in a penalty against them, early as in getting that nice little bit of a shove. Collapse in the scrum against Xander Fagerson. Now Scotland conceded a penalty in an area where Mani Libbok will take on the 3 points. Which is fair enough. At the end of the day, early on in the contest, you do not want to go too risky early. Go for the corner. It could end up costing you. That is why it's a very smart move for Libbok to add the 3. And first South Africa scrum, Scots go to ground. Says Aiko, and also we have got there, stop using bad language, not commentator's fault. You can't view, says Anne. Yeah, if there was any way we could do it that we weren't breaking the law, I would definitely want to do it. But yeah, it's just one of those situations that due to licensing, in terms of, like, there are options, like SABC in South Africa. All you got to do is ask nicely. I'll tell you where you can watch it. I don't mind. But now, Mani Libbok to line up this kick for the Springboks. 10 minutes in. This to give them the first points. Mani Libbok only got 4 seconds to take this one. Took his time and he's missed. Uh-oh. Right, I mentioned about it before the game. I said that Mani Libbok, everyone was happy that he's number 10 because of his kicking accuracy last week. Just because he's missed the first kick, please do not turn your back on him. He is still going to be that fly half. They don't have Andre Pollard for this Rugby World Cup. Damien Willems is the backup option, but he is fullback. Mani Libbok is the 10. Just gets that one off the side. It doesn't quite go over the post. Go box, says Jaden. South Africa is going to win, says Sponga. And choked, says Curran there. And also, were you here, why you here, BP? Says Whitney. Kick downfield now. Nicely taken by Damien Dialendi. Let's to have a big performance here. At the moment, he's got Andre Esterhuizen trying to take his spot. De Klerk going off to the left-hand side now. Big man Jesper Wiese charges at two of the Scottish forwards. I heard a stat earlier on. Old Chisel and Colby trying out that step that worked around Owen Farrell. Finn Russell, brilliant low tackle made to stop his momentum. Stephen Kickoff has his ankles taken out from underneath him by George Turner. Now Libbok going to the right-hand side. Springboks all the possession almost throughout the first 10 minutes or so, but counter-ruck from Scotland. Finn Russell is trying to get in there. That might be a deliberate knockdown from him, though. So they might, a little bit of trouble here, Scotland. I think they will just call it as a knock-on. Yes, they do. And it's going back for another scrum. But that was the counter-ruck from Scotland that I don't think... Oh, it becomes a penalty. Deliberate, but no yellow card for that one against Finn Russell. Just the penalty. And this one is a little bit easier for Mani Libbok. Straight out in front of the post this time. Yeah, unexpected that Scotland were going to go with that counter-rucking chance. Libbok points to the post. Says, we will be going for the shot once more. Graham has said, go Scotland. I don't trust English officials. Glad he's here. Not in an Irish match. Says Richard, I assume you're talking about Angus Gardner, the Australian. And also we have got Come On Scotland from an Irishman. Says Davey, and tell you what, it's going to be a very close group, this one. That is for sure. So every point will be crucial. Both of these sides, if they can score 4 tries in this match, they will get themselves the bonus point. We'll put them on to 5 for the win. But Mani Libbok, like I mentioned, a lot easier kick here for him. Taking his deep breaths. Also, just taking a little bit longer than he normally would for the kicks. Perhaps that is down to the nerves, trying to settle the heart rate. Strikes that one a lot better. Down the middle. 3-0 now for South Africa. Scotland is about to be cooked, says Wise One. Well, they are playing in 27-degree heat, and a lot of the players, they've talked about it, they're losing up to about 5 kgs of water weight from playing in these games. They're going to need to rehydrate, get ready for next week. South Africa, they have got their game up against Romania. Scotland, they have got the week off. Go the box, says Lorna. Now, South Africa having the lead. That was never deliberate. Says Scott, unfortunately, with the fact that he only got the one hand to it, they do consider that as the deliberate knockdown. Jesper Wiese, 10 metres out from their own line now in South Africa with Faf de Klerk. Thought about going into the pocket, but Libbok says, you can have this one, bud. Well, it looks like they're going to use those forwards first with Big Eben Etzebeth. Crashes towards Rory Darge. Now, de Klerk having to roll this one back. He's been told to use it. Well, now, kick this one towards the touchline. His 50th cap for the Springboks. He's had a brilliant career for the Boks and now looking to get the 50th win. Or 50th game as a win, I should say. He's had a few losses along the way. Faf de Klerk. They've got 4 halfbacks for this Rugby World Cup, so plenty of cover just in case any of the 4 are a little bit out of form. That's going to settle the nerves. Says Brian, yeah, exactly right. And I think that was why he took so long for that last kick, was just to really keep their heart rate low. Nicely taken by Scotland this time. They managed to retain their own line out. It was a good sack from Jesper Wiese to stop the momentum. Now pop pass up to Finn Russell. Breaking through the tackle attempt of Mani Libbok. Going for the miracle offload though, and it does just manage to pay off. Going into the hands of Ben White. Stephen Kickoff trying to get all over that breakdown. Has he got his hands on the ball? Not quite. Now playing halfback. It was Duan van der Merwe. Not used to seeing him play number 9. He wanted to do it again, but Ben White says, get out on your wing. Finn Russell back across now. Good attack and run there from George Turner. Again, it will be 2 Springboks trying to commit to that breakdown. Finn Russell goes for the kick in behind, kicks it straight into Damien Diolende's thigh. And that stops all momentum of the ball. Boks have it on the halfway line. Jesse Creel taken down low in the tackle by Finn Russell. Now Faf de Klerk on the kick up high into the 22. Blair Kinghorn calls for the mark. And it is going to be now slowing it down just a bit. Can the commentator move out of the picture, says Rian? I mean, I could. There's nothing on him behind me, though, is the only thing. But you can look at the field if you like, rather than myself. The other option, though, if you want to make it easier, is just close your eyes. Because then you won't see me. Now it's kicked downfield from Blair Kinghorn, taken nicely by Damien Diolende, goes for the chip and chase. I don't think he quite got the distance he wanted on that one, and it bounces back now for Scotland. with Blair Kinghorn. White gets to the breakdown quickly, skew and lined up there by Aspafisa. He's having a physical game so far, which is exactly what he needed. That's a cheap shot right there on Finn Russell by Franco Mostert, and I think both of them aren't too happy about that. They may go back to check that one. Finn Russell, though, he was back there because of Mostert, and he was able to clean up that ball. It would have been clean through for the Springboks had it not been for that shot. Although the ball is loose here, Blair Kinghorn has Damien Dialindi on him, and the penalty does go against the Springboks for offside. We have got there, how long does the rugby have left, says Lisa Simpson. Love your work. It is currently 16 minutes through this game, so it is going to be another 64 minutes remaining in this one. Mate, you need cable. You're about 15 to 20 seconds behind, says Chronic Underachiever. Yeah, because I'm watching on Sky Sport now rather than Sky, because I can't actually put Sky through my monitor. That is why. There is that slight delay. And I, says Marlon, welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing very well. 17 minutes gone, says Kathy. Now Scotland, though, they have got themselves a chance. Marty Libok with that little chip in behind, but Russell was there. The two 10s, they're going to be trying to counter each other all throughout this game. Faf de Klerk, he had a little smile on his face there as well after it. And Six Nations represent, says Richard Morris. In every game that a Six Nations side has played in, they have won for today. So that is, throughout round one. Once again, line out is not good from the Scots. And now it's going to be kicked downfield from Damien Willemse looking for the 50-22. Kinghorn is back. That is 2 from about 3 or 4 now that we have seen that Scotland haven't been able to get right when it comes to their line out. We have got the Aren't You Tired, brother, says Jeremiah Williams. At the moment with this Rugby World Cup weekend, I think in the last 60 hours we have had 8 hours of sleep. So at some stage I'm sure my body will crash, but until then, we're going to be loving the action that has taken place. We have still got Fiji versus Wales just around the corner as well, ladies and gentlemen. So anyone who is new, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Keep up the good work. Thank you from Durban, South Africa, says Brian. Thank you very much, mate. Now, it's going to be Malcolm Marks. The line out throw. They're saying territory-wise, South Africa have had more. Go the Bok, says Nicolene. And that is a penalty this time to the Springboks, taking the man out in the air. It's against Jamie Ritchie. Finn Russell complaining to the ref, the Boks are too physical, says Albert, and also they have Faf as a kicking option as well, says Sean, although we are still very early in this match, of course, so we don't have to worry about them replacing Marnie Libok. He has missed one, but he has got one over as well. If it makes you feel better, you're about 15 seconds ahead of me, says Gus. So what you could do is if you click pause on my live stream, wait about that 15 seconds and then click play, we should be all synced up in terms of the timing. In fact, that's actually Jamie Ritchie not being penalised for going early, but it was actually putting the arm over the top of Better Steph Toy's shoulder. And either side playing brilliantly so far, says Jonesy. And there was always going to be that little bit of the feeling out process between these two teams. They didn't want to go all out too early, but the Springboks, they've had some nice set plays. And this one might be another. Malcolm Marks hanging on to this ball, breaking off the back, tries to pass to Damien Dialindi. It was just a little bit too far out in front of him, though. And will now be the scrum to Scotland. We have got, where can I watch the match live? Says Brooklyn, if you are in South Africa, SABC is a good option from what I have heard. We have got there South Africa for the World Cup. And David is a smart guy, says Richard Morris. And there as well. The Springboks with Malcolm Marks off the back of that rolling maul. Looked like it could have been very dangerous, but Damien Dialindi just half a metre behind where he should have been. Let's make a water break now, says Angus Gardner. We will see quite a few of those throughout this Rugby World Cup, definitely from the temperature that they are dealing with, around that 28 degrees Celsius. They call it commentary, like in the 80s for all the young people here. We wise and grey know this, so get used to it, or buy a TV, says Peter, in there as well. It's actually quite awesome, the amount of age and also countries that we cover with people watching from around the world. So it is hugely appreciated you all tuning in. Do you have Discord? I do have a Discord, but I don't actually know what it is. It's a Kiwi Lads server, I think. If I'm not wrong, Damien Dialindi hasn't been in good form for a while, in my opinion. Where's Esterhazen when you need him? Says BP. And that's the thing. I thought that they may have opted to go for Esterhazen in this game, but that one at number 12 was purely a pick-off experience rather than form. And I wonder whether or not it will be the right decision throughout this game. They're just showing Fuck the Clerk. Sounds like there's someone getting a little bit of medical attention as well. I'm not too sure who that is as of yet, but as soon as we know, we'll of course let you all know. In Vancouver today, FYI, Hamish says, good, geez, you cover some country, don't you? Or countries, I guess. Just saying thank you for your hard work, says Glenn. Thank you very much, mate. Just showing Mostert's big shot on Finn Russell. And live on Virgin Media in Ireland, says Davey. And our Flower of Scotland, says Graham there as well. But after 20 minutes, we are sitting 3-0. South Africa so far having 184 metres made compared to the 64 of Scotland. But South Africa only having the 6 extra carries. It looks like Malcolm Marx is making his way off the field here. Bongi Umbanambi on the field. What's happened to Malcolm Marx? I don't know what it is, but he has gone off the field, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully nothing too serious for that man. It would be a massive shame to see him out in this competition so early. You are a blessing for truck drivers, mate. Cheers, says Blindside XP. No worries at all, mate. Thank you very much for being here. And blood marks. Oh, is it a blood bin? Okay, that's not as bad. I thought that it was something to do with maybe either a leg, something along those lines. But if it is just, wait, no, he's still out there, Malcolm Marx. Has anyone told him he has to go off the field? He's like, no, I'm good. I'll keep going. I think Bongi Umanambi's just made the run out there to have to run all the way back. We've got the SABC on open view. It's not showing it. See, that's a big shame because they were the ones that a lot of people, like even on the official World Cup website, they have got SABC as the option to be able to watch it. So if it's not on there, that is pretty poor from them to not have it available. Right. Scrum, they are about to continue, and Malcolm Marx is still out on the field, ladies and gentlemen. He has been all patched up, ready to go, and thanks out of the USA. Yeah, they don't stream rugby, says Hines. And also we have got there Springboks, says Caesar. Will be the scrum for Scotland, 20 metres out from the Springboks line, or from their own line, I should say. Water break, 28 degrees. WF, I just finished cheffing and 45 degrees plus no water break, says John there. Oh no, they've still got Marks on there. So they said that they made the sub and then they made the sub again. But it means that Bongi Umanambi, he will still be able to come off the bench later on in the game alongside that 6-2 split of the Springboks. Kick downfield from Finn Russell. Now finds Damian Valimza on the halfway line. He is picked up and driven backwards by Hugh Jones. And straight away from this first 20 minutes, I can see that the South Africans are going to be put under a little bit of pressure at times. That was a risky offload there from Stephen Kitsoff. It's play on in the breakdown, but Scotland want to match that physicality. Well, looks well, if the commentator move, we'll be able to watch in South Africa. Says Rian, no, there's nothing behind me. There's like, see, it's just a blank field. In fact, it's set up for a football game in there as well. Thank you very much for becoming a channel member, Esme. Hugely appreciated. Now Xander Fagerson with the ball in hand for Scotland. It looks like Ben White will roll this one back. Now, we did see almost a tryless encounter between Argentina and England in which there was also 3 drop kicks throughout that game. Oh, charged down again, this time by Eben Etzebeth. At the moment, the South African locks have been all over the kicking options from the Scotland side. Now Jesse Creel in the midfield trying to bump off the challenge 40 metres out from the line here, South Africa. Mostert fires it back across to Mani Libok, goes to Valimza. Now has Damien Delindi. Tries to drive with the legs, gets driven into touch by Ben White and Darcy. Graham looks like a little bit of argy-bargy now. Colby's fired up and he wants a boxing scrap. And he's thrown Darcy Graham to the ground. Now these boys need to be careful here. Yes, it's the World Cup and whatnot, but we have seen cards for worse. They need to be disciplined. Etzebeth's just asking whether or not the captain, Jamie Ritchie, would like to have a little bit of a boxing scrap too. But they have to be careful. Like I mentioned, you don't want to be in that scenario of rather than it being a line out, it's now going to be a penalty because Chesil and Colby did decide to throw a man to the ground. We've got there South Africa. Got to be at 14 men soon, says Kerr. And also we have got there in the chat as well, Melee, says Brian. So yeah, Damien Delina, he was forced into touch by Ben White, Hugh Jones, as well as George Turner, I believe. And then there was a little bit of a push or a little bit of a tap on the shoulder, and then Cheslin Colby was not happy about it. I'd say Eben for the first yellow, and it looks like the referees are actually going to go upstairs and have a look at this. So this might be a really dumb play. He wants to know who started it. This could end up being against Scotland, perhaps, for that little bit of a push early. But it's whether or not they consider that as stepping it up. Captain and captain, they're just going to have a chat. Or are they? I hope they just are, but hard to say. Who will win, says Dragon. At the moment, it seems like it could be a 50-50 fixture, although South Africa have had a lot more position and territory, so that will be helping them a little bit more. Right, what have we got? It's been a great game of footy so far, says Angus Gardner. What we don't need... Okay, Angus Gardner has said we don't need you two sides going head-to-head because of a mundane tackle over the sideline. And Angus Gardner is a good referee, says Michael. Right, so he's pretty much just told them, calm down, sort your stuff out, just play the game of rugby. Who's the captain for the day? For the South Africans, it is Sia Khaleesi, and then for the Scottish, it is Jamie Ritchie. Oh, these refs killing a beautiful game, says Audio. I'd disagree in that regard. They handled that situation very well. They said, don't do it again, behave yourselves. I feel like there could have been a lot more going into that than they allowed it to be. It's like Eben Etzebeth stuck underneath the rolling maul. He's managed to get himself out the back now, though, but Scotland do still have this ball available at the back. Looks like Ben White. Be passing it back across, go Colby, says Caffey. And also we have got there look for a big hit on Gardner coming up, says Iko. Now Etzebeth, he's fuming. Or he's not really fuming, he's just ready to charge forward and try and go for this charge down. Didn't quite get to it that time after being able cut it off last time. Nicely taken by Cheslin Colby, trying out those quick stepping feet. Near the touchline, dragged down by Darcy Graham. Gets back up to his feet. South Africa under pressure at the breakdown, but Faf de Klerk gets in and gets the turnover. Big carry from Franco Mostert. And now de Klerk will roll it back, and we are back to another box kick. Hey, how do I stream, says Rian Finta. It depends on whereabouts you are in the world. If you go on the Rugby World Cup website, you will be able to see whereabouts you have got the options of watching throughout the country that you're in. Sione Tuipulotu having a run sideways. Cheslin Colby jumps on him like he's a koala. And Tuipulotu is a tree. And the penalty goes the way of the Springboks. I believe that was for not releasing. In the breakdown perspective, Scotland is fourth best team in the Six Nations. Says Richard there, and the score will be low. I think it's going to end 21 points to 15 or lower for South Africa or even Scotland. Says Daz X. We have got there Richard, third best you mean, says Kerr. And also we have got the Graham, you still there, be quiet. Watch and learn, says Stan. And also go to the box, says Nicolene. And Colby is amazing, says Albert there. And he's stepping up in this first game of the Rugby World Cup, which is exactly what a lot of people have wanted to see. We have got the hello from Eswatini. I think that's the first person from Eswatini that we have had. So welcome in. Hope you are doing extremely well. Hope you're enjoying the coverage. Tuipulotu, it was actually Malcolm Marks. I should have been able to guess that he would be the man in there. It's either him or Kitsoff 90% of the time. Is this up to date who's winning at the moment? It is. So South Africa sitting with a 3-point lead. And Mani Libok about to line up this kick, which would then end up with it being 6-0 if he is able to get it over. Is it halftime? Not quite. There is still another 16 minutes remaining in this first half. So plenty of time for both of these sides to find their momentum, but it has had that real intense, gritty, grindy feel for the first 24 minutes. Neither side wanting to make that major mistake that could cost them the early try. Mani Libok, yeah, has got that one down the middle. That will make the score now 6-0 in favour of South Africa. Now, this is an intriguing scenario because I mentioned about it before the game. I said that if one of these sides is up 6-0 and they are in that scenario of in a decent position, would they start to go for the corner for the sake of being able to work towards that bonus point in such a tightly contested group? Looks like RG Snyman might be close to making his way onto the field. That looks like it's going to be for Eben Etzebeth. Now, I believe that was from when he was stuck under that rolling maul. Perhaps actually took a bit of a knock beforehand, and that was why he ended up under there. But the ball has been dropped by South Africa on the ground. Knock-on advantage in favour of Scotland. And Pierre Skillman trying to drag Franco Mostert alongside behind him. 22 metres out for the line now, Scotland. Finn Russell, flat ball, didn't find the hands. They'll go back for the penalty. Goes South Africa, says Moipone. And also we have got the, don't get your hopes up, Scotland will fight back, says Al. And there as well. We have got there as well, Graham A. Says Kapunda, and South Africa will be behaving. Or will we all believe in you, says Katrina there. And Scotland have been very good in the second half recently, though, says Kerr. Very true in their game up against Georgia. They did concede the early. Oh, here's a stat. They did concede the first 6 points. They didn't go on to concede any more points and got 33 back-to-back and looking so sharp. And your suit and tie, says, Rebel, thank you very much. It's only a skirt if you're wearing underwear, says Kerr. And goes Scotland and win against the odds, says Sam. But now Eben Etzebeth, he has made his way from the field. Massive injury for the Springboks. Hopefully nothing too serious. Game's pretty tame so far. I reckon the Boks are taking it slightly lightly to avoid injury, says Iko. I won't guarantee that. They've had some pretty decent moments throughout the early stages of Springboks. I think it would be more just trying to find their rhythm in a new competition. You can't go into a Rugby World Cup all guns blazing straight from the get-go, or else it can get you into a little bit of trouble. Finn Russell, the playmaker, at 10. Scotland now have got themselves a scrum 20 metres out from the Springboks line. 2 men on the far side for the Boks. Everyone else on the near side. I feel what happened to Eben. I believe it was just before the rolling maul. Might have actually been when he came down. Could have landed awkwardly. Early push from the Springboks. And now Scotland taking the free kick. And now passing out wide to Darcy Graham. 10 metres out from the line. Steps right around Peter Stefter-Toy. Damien Dialende off his feet, so isn't able to contest with that one. Rush defence from Faf de Klerk. Interception pass almost thrown. Cheslin Colby gets it, led with the shoulder there, I believe, was Finn Russell, although there was a knock-on from South Africa initially, and Russell has hurt himself. Now, the weird thing here is he's done a challenge where he's tackled with, like, this part of his body. So it's kind of like, it's not even a shoulder charge, it's just a rib charge, which is not a smart move because ribs, you know, there's not a lot of meat there. It's just a knock-on, they have said. So it is going to be, again, a Scotland scrum. Cheslin will done it. And also we have got their defence, boys, says Raymond. And also, it's sad that I'm in South Africa, screaming for the Scots, says Rin. Yeah, almost stolen by Cheslin Colby. If that pass had been a little bit higher and over the top, Scotland had numbers on the outside. Are the crowd booing? Yeah, that's an NFL style charge from Finn Russell. And he's winded himself in the process. I'm screaming for the Boks, says Nicolene. And also we've got there's Finn okay, says Laura. The thing is, if he's not, it's actually, in this case, his own fault, which sounds really harsh to say, but he led with, like, the back. He kind of thought he was playing in the NFL, thought he was a linebacker, trying to clean up the opposition. And we have got a new member on the channel as well. It is Sive. Thank you very much for hitting that membership button. Hugely appreciated. You now have access to the exclusive emojis on the channel. A forward was on fire, had a great game, says Kerr there, but they are just showing Kirtley Ardenser. There's not a lot of arm wrapping available or in that for Finn Russell. Commentators are talking about it. I believe that they will go upstairs. This was stupid from Finn Russell, to say the very least. It's going to be a no arms challenge. They're going upstairs. More than likely, Finn Russell has cost his team that penalty that they would have had straight out in front of the posts. Leading with no arms for Finn Russell. Now, because he's made contact with the ribs rather than the head, I don't believe it will be anything more, at absolutely worst, yellow card. I don't see it being any more than that, though. But he forgets what sport he's in. Yeah, it's not smart from Finn Russell. And hopefully a yellow, says Michael. And Scotland will lose. Okay, Angus Gardner said he's just at a penalty only. He overruns it and he just doesn't use his arms. So it is going to be just the penalty, but that is the penalty reversed. If pronouncing next as next, says Richard. And also we've got there, he's jealous, says Kathy. Just be careful, please, says Angus Gardner. And the penalty will go the way of South Africa. So that could have been an easy 3 for Scotland. That is now unavailable, but will be Fuff de Klerk hanging on to this ball at the moment. Is he going to kick it for the touchline? Looks like he wants to kick it off his left boot. He was looking towards the bench, pointing, saying, me, and then I think someone must have gone. And then now Marnie Lebok has got the ball in hand. Marnie Lebok kicking this one towards the touchline. And I do apologise because I did say it was Kurtley Arunsa, but it was actually Cheslin Colby. Oh, sorry, I said it was Cheslin Colby. It was actually Kurtley Arunsa who did end up being involved in that play. And big reversal, good call, says Richard. And go the Bok, says Laura there. Yeah, Finn Russell leading with his ribs. Forgot that he didn't have the pads on for the NFL. And that would quite hurt. Now, Malcolm Marks thrown into the front to RG Sneyman. Lobby pass over the top from Fuff de Klerk. Now, Damien Dealindi. Ball available again for de Klerk. Oh, Aspervisi, he's actually been pushed into that by Franco Moster. They've got to be careful with that because I know Peter Steftatoy got himself in trouble not too long ago for something similar. Of course, that was when they were defending rather than attacking. But we still don't really know how this competition is going to be completely refereed. So you've got to make sure you're taking anything that could be a 50-50 out of the equation. Now, Damien Valimza, nice spin, going through the tackle attempt to George Turner. Fuff de Klerk uses quickly, goes to the right-hand side to Damien Dealindi. Should mention the Springboks throughout 2023 so far, the most clinical side in terms of the amount of tries. Mostert has just had that ball pop out like it's come out of nowhere. Now, little bit of miscommunication for half a second, but Cheslin Colby does yell at Valimza and says, that's mine. Ball's gone extremely high now. Kinghorn trying to line it up. Now Darcy Graham also trying to slap it back. They're trying to play basketball with RG Sneyman. That doesn't normally work. Duan van der Merwe, though, has ended up with the ball. There's going to be play on. I feel Peter Steph close to get him penalised. Finn Russell looking for the 50-22. It's gone over their head and just keeping it in the field of play was Cheslin Colby, quicker to the cat. And now we'll boot this ball into touch. I love the Springboks. And also hi in the chat as well. Welcome in. Hope you are all doing very well. Anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We are on the road to 31,000 subscribers and we are hopefully going to hit it by the end of this live stream. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button as it is hugely appreciated. It's okay though. He's cute to look at, says Rin. Oh, almost stolen. Finn Russell, quick hands. Numbers on the outside for the Scottish. Sells the dummy Darcy Graham, but couldn't get his pass away. That is an absolutely phenomenal tackle from Marnie Lebok. And what that did was saved a certain try. Russell now slinging it across the Scorman as his knees chopped out from underneath him like he's a pine tree. Now Russell back across again. This time to Sione Tuipulotu, dragged down 25 metres out from the line, but Darcy Graham just picked the wrong time. In that case, to decide to go for the run himself. Malcolm Marks on the ball, loses his footing. Jasper Wiese has stolen that one, has he? Yes, he has. And the Springboks get the turnover. Now Kickoff finds the little flick pass off to Jesse Creel, went for the kick in behind. Scotland will be back to cover with Kinghorn. Has to grab that one. Oh, he's got Khaleesi jumping on his face. Probably not the most descriptive commentary, but it was what happened. Now Ben White. I'm going to use this one to the left, and Scotland have lost about 70 metres in that play. But Finn Russell going for the cross kick too far in front of Darcy Graham. Risk and reward, Russell blows it, and now Scotland are under pressure. This number 4 Scottish is a dumb, says Joe. So I believe you're talking about Richie Gray. In that case, Bok has a 100% winning streak in this cool mint jersey, says France. I believe the last time they would have played in it was up against Argentina, if I'm not wrong. Or did they play in it up against Wales? I can't remember if they did. And Scotland seemed more dangerous, but not able to finish it off, says Kurt. Yeah, that was an absolutely brilliant line break. The gap opened up in defence, but it was just that little moment where Darcy Graham hesitated. He saw that the Springbok was rushing up, didn't go for the pass over the top, and it did end up with South Africa just getting back. Nicely thrown by Malcolm Marks. And once again, South Africa look to use their rolling maul. They would not mind having an advantage here, but Khaleesi has to break off the back inside ball to Kurtley Arunsa. The quick as a cat out on the other wing. That's the thing. They've got Colby and also Arunsa. Khaleesi looked like he was staying down, but I believe he was just trying to avoid getting hit with the ball. Instead, he got hit with RG Sneyman. De Klerk, 22 metres out from the line now for the Springboks. Ball's popped out as Peter Steftatoy. Great pickup from Marnie Lebok, but the ball is loose. Goes out to Cheslin Colby, who is running backwards. Now decides to straighten. Oh, he's just collapsed in Jack Dempsey's arms. It's almost romantic. Now de Klerk goes for the kick in behind with Marnie Lebok. Awkward bouncing one. Kinghorn has to dive on it. Malharba, I believe he lost his footing. Now Scotland 1 metre from their line. They have gone from hot on attack in the 22 to now only a couple metres out from their own line under huge amounts of pressure. It's kicked high from Ben White and it does go into touch. We have got there the South Africans Cup again. We can't be touched this year, says Kiara. And also we have got there, will take a while to make them soft, says Michael. And also 7 minutes left. Scotland defence needs to hold up, says Kerr. And in the last 4 games for Scotland, it has relatively, I know that their games against France, there were a few more tries going through. And Fuffs here still looks nice, says Philip. And Malcolm Marks, line out throw 20 metres out from the line now, ladies and gentlemen. Still got the cut on his forehead. We've also seen Aronsik busted open. We've got Franz Mahaba and Sia Khaleesi both with tape around their heads. It's a physical matchup. Plenty of bloodshed between these two sides already. Now South Africa with Malcolm Marks starts to march just that little bit closer to the try line, trying to avoid getting stepped on with Peter Steph-Toy still moving. De Klerk wants that ball, but Marks said, I want just a couple more metres, and it might end up costing them the ball, and it does. Little bit of a miscommunication there for the Springboks and the rolling maul. And Scotland survive. And they need to give it to Fuff, says Kiana. And also we have got there, which channel can I watch this live, says Seppo. I believe it's on DSTV. It was supposed to be on SABC, but it seems like that is no longer an option, unfortunately, which is a massive shame, as I know a lot of people were hoping to be able to watch the game through that option. And also Go Bok. And also Go Bok says you're in there. We have the luck of the Irish, says Kathy. I see SABC Plus collapse, says productivity. Maybe they didn't expect so many people to be watching on it, but surely with a World Cup, they should have known that at least a few people would be wanting to tune in. We have got there, Hamish, you're back in to win in this game, says Shawal. Well, it's certainly looking like it's not going to be the score that I predicted, because I predicted 34 points to 18 in favour of the Boks. But as you guys know, I'm terrible with predictions, so I feel like the scoreline at the moment is the perfect example of why I don't bet on any sports. A man is dressed with the Scottish flag on his face. And game is on. SABC, says Will. Looking sharp in your suit and tie. Hamish says Rebel Rose. Thank you very much. Usually appreciate it. Thought I'd better dress up for this stream, seeing as it is a massive game between these two teams. Now the scrum. It is going to be Ben White feeding the ball in for the Scottish. And that one will be Clang. Jack Dempsey under pressure from Fuff de Klerk. White has to kick himself. Not literally, but the ball. Now, Damien Valimza going for the chip in behind again. We've seen a lot more kicking in this game than the last maybe 3 or 4 games from the South Africans. Wondering whether or not that is a tactic that they've been hiding for a little bit longer, but I believe they should go back to just trying to run that ball. They've been able to break Scotland's defence down a couple of times. It's not over, but it's definitely not going the way most of the world predicted. The rugby world thought Bok would walk over Scotland, says Kerr. And there as well, we have got there, SABC can't handle the volumes. And also we have got, why can't England not play? Says chess because they don't have why can't they not play chess? Because they don't have a queen? Says Scotty, I assume that's what he's saying, maybe. But now we've got another little short drinks break here for the two sides. Fast-paced for the first 35 minutes. Not a lot of breaks. Looks like there's a bit of a conversation going on between George Turner and Angus Gardner here. So far, we've seen 58 tackles made by Scotland, 7 missed. South Africa making 35 tackles, missing 9. But I talked about that Scottish tackling percentage just before the game, how strong they can be in their defence. We've seen a couple moments where it's looked like South Africa right on the verge of breaking through, but it's that last pass that hasn't quite worked out for them. Go the Box, says Verno. What a bore, says Dinesh. I think this game has been anything but boring for the first 35 minutes. If you enjoy watching tries being scored, of course, people will say this game hasn't quite had what they want. But if you enjoy a good test match rugby kind of feel to a game that seems like we could go maybe 70 minutes without a try, this is the game that you're going to get that. Great presenter. Thanks, mate, says Wyatt Works. Thank you very much, mate. And also, I'll rather listen to you, Hamish, than watch on SABC, says Maritz. And also, we have got their penalty, Scotland, says Kathy there as well. It's going to be Ben White feeding the ball in for Scotland. Doesn't look very stable at the moment. It's scrum time, and I think that was Malharba whose legs gave out from underneath them with Pierre Schoeman putting the pressure on. South Africa having 55% of the possession throughout this first half. A little small, if you ask me, says Richard. And also, really well done, South Africa, says Crystal. And there is a game will open up in the second half and tries will come, says Kerr. And also, we have got that it's a shame that 3 of the top 5 teams will be knocked out by the quarters, 1 in the group stage. Yeah, it really shows how much they shouldn't have done the draw as early as they did. And the other side of things with it is the fact that World Rugby were like, oh, we'll do it later next time, just says, oh, yeah, no, we made a mistake. And also good opposition like Scotland, Ireland, and Tonga to prepare for France or the All Blacks in round 8. Says Michael, but now White, big ball, Tisioni Tuipulotu breaks through the tackle attempt on Mani Libok, but has been dragged down by Malcolm Marks. Man doesn't just have 100% accuracy in most of his lineouts, also in his tackling. He's right up there with the best around the world. Pierre Schoeman running at Malcolm Marks, and he's forced the knock on from the big man Schoeman. How much time left in the first half? 3 minutes remaining. South Africa now going to have themselves to scrum on the halfway line. This is a great game, says Fleshin. And if the score remains like this, second half will be anyone's game to win. The Boks need to pull it together and soon. And the chance to lose it is good, says Raymond. No flower of Scotland, says Graham. Yeah, I've got there your commentary much better than the SABC, says Michael. Thank you very much, mate. Usually appreciate it. And we will be here for every game of the Rugby World Cup as well, ladies and gentlemen. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are hoping to hit 31,000 subscribers by the end of this match. So if you haven't already, it would be greatly appreciated. If you enjoy watching the games, or if you have a way of watching the games, but you just want to chat to people while the match is on, this is the place to be. But scrum feed for South Africa just inside of their own territory. 2 minutes remaining in the half. A great opportunity to start a set play and see if they can get it into the hands of someone like a Kurtley Arendse, who we haven't really seen touch the ball too much as of yet. We have got there, my dear, fabulous, says Curta Roof. And come on, Box, says Ibrahim. And great pressure from both sides. Best match of this weekend, says Nico. And I mentioned about it before the start of the game. Match of the weekend is still up for grabs. Because some people would say France versus New Zealand, but I feel like we want a game where both sides are giving it to each other. And so far, Scotland, they've been able to handle the pressure that the Springboks have been applying. But then at times, the Springboks have looked like, oh, there they are again, the world champs. Can they get through? Which is why I've been absolutely loving it. I think it's 4:37 a.m. here in New Zealand, and I forgot that it was the middle of the night. That is how good this game has been so far. Or how quick this game has been, I should say. Now, Faf de Klerk about to feed the ball in. A chess match. I think the best way to describe these two sides throughout the first 39. Penalty goes to Scotland at scrum time. That is not what does happen to the Springboks on a regular basis. Kitsoff, Marks and Malharba all walking backwards from that scrummaging pressure of Xander Fagerson. How bad is Etzebeth's injury? They haven't confirmed it yet, but I'd assume with the fact that he's gone off the field, there is a little bit of concern there that it could be something a little bit more serious than first anticipated. New subscriber here, Kia ora from Ireland, says Ken, welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing extremely well. Big push. Like they said, Malharba, he was just about to put on the big shove, but unfortunately just lost a little bit of his balance, which then caused Scotland to march forward and Gregor Townsend to stand up out of his chair and get extremely excited. But 15 seconds remaining. Scotland will go for the 3 points here rather than kicking for the corner. The better option is to go for the 3, of course. Try and get a little bit closer to level in this contest. Etzebeth is going to start the Bright early, says River. And just for you, Brian O'Flower of Scotland, says Graham. And Bok, bring back the cup, says Stephanus. And there as well. But Finn Russell now, his first kicking opportunity of the day. And this will be the last play of the first half. Does he get it over Russell? He certainly does. 6 points to 3 going into halftime in this exhilarating first match for these two sides in the Rugby World Cup. Ireland will be watching this intrigued. See how it's going to be going for them in their next game after the week after. That wasn't a sentence. I'm too excited. I was trying to say that they play Tonga, then they play these two teams, but instead, out my mouth, words weren't working. If you're really good at this commentary, you pronounce the names really nicely, says River. Thank you very much, mate. And it's a bit of his injured, said Michael. He certainly is. So RG Snyman already out there on the field for the Springboks. It looked like for a little bit of time that it was going to be possibly Malcolm Marx going off the field with the blood bin, but luckily that did not take place. And Scotland looked fitter and stronger, says Fleshin. We have got the accelerating my foot, says Dinesh. Maybe this isn't the game for you, Dinesh. Definitely not this one with the fact that there hasn't been a try, because it seems like you only want to see like 80-0 and whatnot. I should hear him roll his R's, true pro, says Richard there. And Scotland clutching at straws, just a scrum penalty, says Power Bite. Although they had the better attack at one stage throughout that game, I would say that they've had the best attacking play of the game. But then the problem is, other than that first attack that they were able to have, I would say that South Africa have probably had the next best three after that one. But the runner, Darcy Graham, almost able to go through that gap, trying to find that pass on the outside, wasn't able to. But then we need to remember, after that play went downhill, South Africa found themselves only a couple metres out from Scotland's line, being able to march them back about 65 metres in the process. No try for the moment, but a good match, says Bruno. Exactly right, and Afrikaans is improving, says Funny there. And Scotland, yay, says Ren. And there as well, but we will get some stats for this match, ladies and gentlemen. It has been, I mean, some people are saying it wasn't exciting, but I very much enjoyed this one for the first half. We'll look at some of the match details. There's going to be territory for the whole game. They've actually got territory for the last 10 minutes, was 85% in favour of South Africa, but territory throughout the whole game, 62% in favour of the Springboks. Possession was 54% in favour of South Africa also, so they've had more of the ball, more of the territory, but the Scottish defence just don't want to give way. And I'll bet Scotland tackle stats are looking pretty damn good, says Kerr. And speaking of those tackle stats, so far we have seen 58 tackles made by Scotland, 7 tackles missed, tackling with an 82% success rate, whereas the Springboks, they have made 39 tackles, missing 10, so they have only got the 71% for their tackling success. We've seen metres from kick. Scotland have kicked 576 alongside the 421 of the Springboks, so we've had just under 1,000 metres of kicking throughout that first half, 17 kicks from hand for both of the sides. So both are willing to play that kicking territory game, trying to get the better of it. And I have to say, compared to the France versus All Blacks game, it's a completely different kicking style from both teams. The kicks are effective. They're putting the other team under pressure, and there is that chance that they may be able to retain possession. Scotland's fitness will tell in the second half, says Vagabond. It's going to be interesting because in the last game for Scotland they played was up against Georgia, and they were 6-0 down, and then from there they went on to score a whole heap of tries in the second half, managing to win at 33 points to 6. Now, Scotland, they would rather play Georgia in the second half of rugby than the Springboks, who have got that 6-2 bench. We have got Hamish, how can I watch the game, says Kobus. SABC seems to be the free option in South Africa, although it seems to be only working for some people. And then, yeah, other options is DSTV if you do have that paid subscription, but I'd assume if you did, you probably wouldn't be asking, I assume. So yeah, SABC I think is the best bet in that regard. And we've got there, what's your nationality, Mr. Commentator? Salim from Cape Town. So I am from New Zealand. So currently it is 4:43 a.m. here in New Zealand, but we're up watching this game. We are covering the next game on the channel as well between Fiji and Wales. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are currently only sitting 200 subscribers away from 31,000, which is absolutely insane. So if you do want to help us get there, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Hard first half. Both sides will feel it in the morning, says Calmac. Exactly right. And the tricky part of this is both of these sides, once this game finishes, or in fact, I take that back, Springboks, next week, they have to play up against the Romanians. Now, they'll make quite a few changes compared to the starting lineup that they have got for this game. Scotland have a week off. So the question is whether or not Scotland, with the fact that they're having to rest now rather than later on, will that impact them with the fact that they do have to play Tonga and then Ireland in their last 2 games? And we have got there, let's talk rugby, says David. And Pierre is putting a lot of pressure on France. Apoko not used to having a solid front row against them, says Marisa. And also, Kiwi, the channel has grown so fast. Remember when you had 1K subs, bro, says Daz. Yeah, it's absolutely insane the amount of growth that we have had recently. And like I always say, it is all down to you guys because, like, yeah, without you, these live streams just wouldn't be the same. It's the chat, it's the banter, it's the, I guess, opinions in terms of what makes this all really special on the streams. And hi from Panama says, Talitha, welcome in. Hope you are doing extremely well. We have got there the Bockies are flat-feeted. Glued, says Shazza. And I think that throughout that first half, we saw quite a bit of physicality from Scotland, which was great because that is exactly how they had to try and match the Springboks. We saw 45 runs from South Africa having 228 metres carried. Now, Scotland, I mentioned how they probably had the best run of the day so far, but they only had pretty much that one, 87 metres carried. It's us not being able to watch it, says Herman there, and also we have got their decent rev, no favouritism for the Boks, says Sam in there as well, and also go the Bok, and Bok in the chat as well. A lot of people going for the Springboks by the looks of it. We love it, man. We love you so much. Thanks for this awesome commentary, bro, says Des. And also we have got their best game I've ever seen, says Alana. A lot of people were saying that this could be picking, or it could be the game of the weekend, and at the moment, it's got that real special feel for the second half. I will mention, line-out time for Scotland has not been working too flash. 6 out of the 8 of their line-outs there, they have been able to win successfully, only 75%. Scrums, here's one for you. South Africa, 1 from 3, 33% chance of South Africa winning their scrums. Anything on Etzebeth's injury? I haven't heard anything as of yet, but I'm hoping it's nothing too serious. But the fact that they took him off so early, I'd like to think is definitely precautionary, but hopefully it is just because they want to make sure that it doesn't injure it any further. We have got there, I really don't like that jersey, says Audio. And therefore the the South African away kick. Subscribe, guys, come on, says David in the chat as well. Yeah, anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We might even be able to get to 31 by the time we finish this halftime chat. We are only just over 100 away, so let's see whether or not we can get there. Penalty count, 4 penalties against the Springboks, 5 penalties against Scotland. It's actually been, that's one of the lower numbers we have had for a game, I would say, in quite some time. We have got there as well a score at the end of the game, I guess 32 points to 16 in favour of the Boks. Says Vidini, I have a bit of a feeling it may be a little bit lower scoring in this contest between the two teams, mainly because 6-3 in that first half. Neither side's defence wanted to crack, didn't want to allow the opposition through. We saw some decent performances from some individuals throughout the game. I'd say that Marnie Libok in that first half for the South Africans wasn't looking too bad at all. Malcolm Marks getting the turnover. Why is the jersey light blue, says that Vivian? It is because they are considered the home side for this game, so they have to wear the alternative strip, which is a little bit of a weird rule that they have got, because I would have thought Springboks kit and Scotland's kit don't really clash, but it's because of the colourblind side of things that they have to make it. So it's a bit easier. Have some water. Pretty sure you need it from all the commentating, says Raymond. And we have still got more rugby just around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. Fiji versus Wales. We will be covering that one on the channel starting at 6:30 a.m. I like low-scoring games except bad weather ones, says Richard. And I think there's a big difference, isn't there, between this game being low-scoring, and I'm going to use it as an example. And I know that some people might be annoyed about this example, but compared to England versus Argentina in the last match, because England-Argentina, there were a lot more handling errors, and it was a lot more stop-start, whereas in this game, we haven't really had a huge amount of stoppages. Like, everyone's just trying to keep that game flowing, and I believe that is because both sides want to take the opposition into deep water so that they can then try and punish them later on in the game. But looking through at the current match leaders, Cheslin Colby, he has made the most metres out of any player out there on the field with 60 metres made. He had a couple tremendous runs down that left wing side. We'll be looking to do the exact same in the second half. We saw 2 offloads from Jack Dempsey, and I believe that is due to Scotland not wanting that ball to go to the ground, because we know how dangerous Kitsoff, Marks and all those individuals in that forward pack can be at ripping the ball away. We've already seen Jasper Visa be able to do so. Tackles, Jamie Ritchie made 7, and I believe he is tackling at the moment with 100% accuracy. And then the other stat is Harry's crossed gain line. Jasper Visa had the most out of any of the players. Thanks for this channel, says Tiesto, no worries at all. And how long till time, says Angelique. At this stage, we've probably got another 5 minutes or so, maybe even less, maybe about 3 minutes till they go back out onto the field. But other players who did step up throughout this game, I mentioned about Marnie Libok being able to get his kicks, although he did miss the first one that he took, but from there started finding his momentum once more. I think we need to see more of Kurtley Aronsa. I'll be honest, we didn't really see him throughout that first half, not to the significance that we wanted to anyway. And all the best, says it was there from Adiswa. And also we have got there, what time is halftime finishing, says Sandra. We are not too far away from the second half getting back underway. This game is actually running a lot smoother than the game prior, I believe. Because that game between Japan and Chile, I think the first half took about an hour and a bit. And that one, South African, says Nezara. But we will look through also, ladies and gentlemen, at the benches for these two sides, because this is where the difference could be made. Bongyo Manambi, Oxnashe, and Trevor Nakanye, the front row replacements for the South Africans. Aji Snyman already on the field. That is due to the injury of Eben Etzebeth. We are eagerly awaiting to find out what the result is in terms of that injury. Maka van Staden and Dwayne Vermeulen, two men in the loose forward trio that may get a chance relatively early on. Grant Williams and Villy LaRue, the two back replacements for the Springboks. For Scotland, Dave Cherry, Jamie Butty and WP Nell. And we've already seen Scotland's scrum looking pretty solid. So I'm wondering how late it will be before we see Butty and Nell make their way onto the field. Cummings and Matt Fagerson, the two other forward replacements. Ellie Price, the youngster Redpath, and Ollie Smith at number 23. But currently at halftime, we are yet to see a try scored in this one. Duan hasn't featured true. So actually it's just been that wing, hasn't it? Duan van der Merwe, Kurtley Aronsa, neither really getting significant time on the ball. In fact, the times that they have ended up receiving the ball is actually when they've gone searching for it, going infield. And I think Duan van der Merwe, he might have to do that a little bit more in the second half, although that leaves the gap on the outside for the possible break. This will come down to the team that wants it most, says Dylan. And the thing is, with it being the Rugby World Cup, we know that both of these sides are going to be digging as deep as physically possible, taking it to places that they possibly haven't had to be in the last few games. South Africa, they have been on a winning streak. They beat the All Blacks. Then they also were able to beat Wales as well as Argentina. Whereas for Scotland, they had those couple challenging games against France. They were able to win the first one. They lost the second, but perhaps that is something that has helped them in this World Cup to know that when it gets tricky, you've still got to score those points, keep it close. And I mentioned about a stat. I believe every game, the team that has been leading at halftime has gone on to win for this Rugby World Cup. Now, that could be wrong. I'm trying to think if there's any exception to that rule. I don't think there is. So that means Springboks, they'll back themselves in the second half. Duan needs to go looking for the ball more. That's his downfall. Too happy waiting for it to come to him, says Kerr. And I think we've established in this game, it just doesn't want to quite go out to those wingers as much as they, of course, would like. But anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are now only 50 away from that 31,000. So if you do want to help us out, it is greatly appreciated. We are here for every game of the Rugby World Cup, whether it is going to be Samoa versus Chile or the Springboks versus Ireland. We will be covering it on the channel, so be sure to hit that subscribe button. Just play, says Ronnie. And along to the second half, Springboks now just making their way back out onto the field. Second half just about to get underway, ladies and gentlemen. Going to be an interesting second half, that is for sure. And I think the thing is, we're into that scenario now. One wrong move from a player could be the difference maker here. Whether or not that is a player caught out of position, one bad penalty that you do end up giving away. Hopefully we can avoid any sort of cards for either of these sides throughout the second half. We have got there, go the Bok, go, says Alton. Also we have got there, I can assure you the Bok wants it more, says Irwin there. Although Scotland, we've seen some pretty impressive comebacks from them. You just got to look at that first game up against France. I believe they were down by 20 points. And this one, they're down by 3, but they're up against the world champs, South Africa. Certainly want to make a statement in game one. See Khaleesi just having a bit of a chat there with Angus Gardner. Khaleesi might be asking for a couple more penalties to be given in certain circumstances. Unfortunately, we didn't get to hear it, though. But I assume that it would be something to do with that. I feel the breakdowns have been relatively scrappy. You're our only saviour. So please keep up with the commentary, says Manuela. We certainly will be. Second half just about to start. South Africa, they will be receiving the kickoff this time rather Then the Scottish and Scotland with Blair Kinghorn will be kicking this off to get us back underway for the second 40 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Bock and Dunedin, says Matt there as well. But we are back underway. 3 points difference between these two sides in their first Rugby World Cup fixture. So much is on the line, and the ball has been put up high. Looks like it's left there for Jasper Wiese, the man who has had the most gain line success throughout this game in terms of individual runs. Now de Klerk back into the pocket to Manie Libbok. Something that I would like to change from the Springboks in the way that they played in that first half is the amount that they were kicking that ball away. I feel like they had times when they were on the halfway line and they could have attacked, and instead they opted for the kicking option. That is a knock-on from Finn Russell in the breakdown. I think might have actually bounced back into the hand of Xander Fagerson. So now scrum feed for the Springboks here at the start of the second half. We have got their Scottish, looks like they mean business. Finn Russell doing well, says Roof. And they actually haven't been able to shut down Finn Russell as much as we first thought for this game. I actually thought that they'd be putting on a little bit more pressure to him. Peter Steph-Toy, you wonder whether or not he has done as much as first anticipated. And thanks, Kiwi Super, or Live, for your super service. Keep us informed live, says Angelique. And there as well. And also we've got their no imagery play-by-play. That is exactly what we have got. But 39 minutes remaining is what we have got left in this game. Pool D at the moment is looking intriguing. We saw a game between Argentina and England with only the one try. The question is, are we going to get at least one? And this one, big scrum from the box. They've got themselves the penalty. That is a great way to answer back after conceding the penalty in the last scrum. They then got themselves well set. Piers Coleman, too much pressure on him by Frans Malherbe. I'd consider that battle being 1-1. Rassi Erasmus, he's got the red light that he is putting up. Got the different coloured ones depending on what he wants, and that one must mean shot, because now it's going to be Manie Libbok lining up the posts. Oh, bit of distance on this kick as well for Manie Libbok, maybe about 56 metres out on the angle. We have got there, where can we see the real game? If you look on the Rugby World Cup website, they'll have a list of where to watch, and that will have every single provider that is showing it for this Rugby World Cup. And could you mention the position of the ball more, please, says Mark? I will try my absolute best. So currently 57 metres out for Manie Libbok. Etsebev looks gutted on the sideline. He looked like he was frustrated. We haven't heard about what the injury is as of yet. And nice Bock, says Leandria in the chat as well. 57 metres. Sitting 2 from 3 so far, Manie Libbok. We know that he's got decent distance. The question is this going to be just slightly out of his range? And in doing so, will he pull it because he wants to get that little bit of extra distance on the ball? That looks like it's exactly what's happened. It's gone away to the side. Also didn't have the distance. That's where they needed Frans Steyn, but unfortunately he's on the commentary team for these matchups rather than in the Springbok squad. Big run from Damien de Lendi though. Moving back up to 35 metres out from Scotland's line. De Klerk goes back across to Mostert. See, here is where there's a perfect attacking opportunity, and I hope the Springboks decide to take it rather than going for the kick. Seal Khaleesi getting driven close to the touchline. Ball pops out the side. Faf de Klerk with the pass through his legs. De Lendi, couple more big fends there on Scotland's forwards. Jasper Wiese, good run, breaking through one challenge. Has been tackled by Grant Gilchrist. The box now going away to the left. Frans Malherbe taken down 22 metres out. Scotland's tackling percentage a lot higher than the Springboks in half number 1. Now de Klerk going back across again. Got a low tackle made from George Turner. The Springboks up to 9 phases, and they don't look like they want to give this ball up anytime soon. Archie Snyman with a little bit of class with the offload game. Jesse Creel out wide to Cheslin Cobby. He steps once, but he's 5 metres out from the line now for the Springboks. Scotland unable to get the turnover. Who's the big forward who wants it the most? Who wants the first try of the contest? De Klerk goes off to the right-hand side. Kinghorn, did it hit his hand? They have said yes, and it will now be a scrum feed for the Springboks. 10 metres out from the line, but that was the pressure, and that was the ability of the Springboks on show there, being able to put together phases just out from Scotland's line. The offloading game of RG Snyman almost led to that first try. It's just a little tiny bit unfortunate that the offload that he did went to Frans Malherbe rather than one of the backs. That is the one downside of that pass. If he had someone a bit quicker on the outside, they could have got themselves the opening try, but they are still in a very good position, only 10 metres out from the line, luring in the two defenders of Richie and Finn Russell with that offload. And Malaharba, he was wishing he had just a little bit of a quicker 30-metre time than he does. Kurtley Aronsa, they are just showing him yet to get himself a try in this Rugby World Cup, his debut Rugby World Cup as well. Big scrum coming from the box, I reckon, says Aiko. Box not giving up, says Kathy. Exactly right. They've currently got their 3-point lead, but getting themselves another try or a try here will be absolutely massive. How long is halftime, says Happiness? We are back into the second half. Currently 46 minutes through this game. Now Faf de Klerk puts the ball into the scrum. It's available at the back. Has been told to play at de Klerk. Going back across to Damien Dialende with the flat, straight run at Finn Russell. Awkward swirl there in the way that he fell. Springboks asking for the penalty. They do not receive it as it was available for Faf de Klerk to use. Now they have got numbers to the left-hand side. Can they use them this time? Malcolm Marks gets within 3. Now de Klerk. Short pass after Peter Steph-Toy bumps out a 1. He's over the try line. And Peter Steph-Toy scores the opening try of the match for the Springboks. I don't even think there was a missed tackle from Scotland, just the power of the Springbok forwards driving over the try line. We have got there, yes, Box, says Rose, and very good teamwork by the Box. Yeah, a lot better with the way that they were using the ball in hand there, just not rushing it, not going for those kicks. I think that is where the Springboks have been so clinical throughout this year, is because they've been willing to take that risk of running it. They've got a world-class backline. Now that they are using it in the second 40, we're starting to see a few more metres made, but Sione Tui Pilotu just slightly bumped off. Kitsoff helps drag Peter Steph-Toy over the try line. And it is going to be possibly... Is it going to be all right? With Stephen Kitsoff in front? No, they might say it's all right. And also we have there, it's hammer time, says Jody Cook. And also we are the champions in there. And also we have there, no, says a Ghost Real. And Rassia comments at halftime, I think, says Kerr. And also we have got there, yes, Bach, says Murley. So the first try of the Rugby World Cup for the Springboks goes to someone who was there for the last one, and that is Peter Steph-Toy. We have got Hamish as the honorary superhero of South Africa with his commentary, says productivity of, or by design. Mani Libok just away to the side again. To the left. So that will now keep the score margin at 8 points. Still more than a converted try. And also we have got there, what's this, the second half before South Africa scored a try. Says Glenn Woods. So yeah, 6-3 at halftime. Springboks now get themselves their first try of the contest. That young fan was absolutely loving it. Had the big Bok hat on as well, and Bok on top, says Mikhail. And Cheslin must kick. Says Jacques there. I mean, it's been unlucky, Mani Lebok, because you look at what happened in the last game up against the All Blacks. He was 100%, and everyone was backing him. In the game up against Wales, it was slightly lower, and everyone was slating him. But in this case, I think that they will still stick with Mani Lebok, even though his kicking has been a little bit tricky. Fun with Soap has become a YouTube member. Hope you are having a lot of fun with the soap that you do use. And now it's going to be Faf de Klerk putting the ball up high into touch. And now South Africa conceded that line out about 38 metres out from the line. This is like 8 points now, says Aiko, somewhere around there. Yep. And I just realised Hamish is 3 minutes behind me, says Eldon. Yeah, a little bit of a delay for myself, but now it's nicely taken by Scotland. That was close to not straight. Actually took it on the outside of the body. The only thing I can think there is maybe they closed the gap and then managed to take it cleanly. Ben White going off now. Big run from... It was George Turner, counter-ruck from the Springboks. I should mention that Umbanumbi has made his way onto the field. That is to replace Malcolm Marks, who's been relatively quiet throughout the second part of this game. We've got a super sticker as well from Stan Paulson. Thank you very much, mate. You usually appreciate all these people saying Scotland is bad. Oh, you're only up by 8. Taking 50 minutes to score a try, says Kerry. Exactly right. At the end of the day, this has been a real fight from both of these teams. And, RG Sneyman, he's got long arms. He's like a giraffe, except... with the arms, not the legs. Do giraffes have 2 legs, 2 arms? No, they don't. Never mind. Now counter-ruck from the Springboks. Sia Khaleesi has been able to take that ball back now for South Africa. Jasper Vesa, that is going to be the penalty advantage against, I believe that was Finn Russell for being offside. Another chance now for the Springboks. Mani Lebok, cross kick. Kurtley Arunsa, the try scorer machine from South Africa, now puts one in the corner. And now the Springboks start to fire on all cylinders in the second 40 minutes. Come on, the box, says Jan. We win in this, says Kamba. And Scotland is not bad. They can easily play. And Oswego, their try, and there's South African's class coming out now, says Eldon. I think it's a game-changing tactic from them in the second half. It seems like they're being a lot more aggressive on attack, rather than being inside their own half, being on that halfway line and saying to de Klerk, you kick that downfield. Instead, they've said, we're going to go with a few big phases from our forward pack, and then that is when we're going to go for maybe a cross kick or some sort of crash up with the forwards. But Kurtley Arunsa does score the try, his 12th try. Scotland need to reset and calm the nerves, says Kerr. Yeah, they are up against it at the moment. They need to try their absolute best to slow this momentum down of the Springboks, because we have seen when the Springboks start rolling, they're extremely hard to stop. We have got there as well. Looking for a used wheelbarrow, says Lawrence. I think I've got enough at this stage. I think I've got 2 wheelbarrows. Thank you, but maybe you'll find someone. This is like watching, where'd it go? This is like watching Scotland from 5 years ago, says Jonesy. Although the thing is, yes, there's been 2 quick tries, but Scotland have still had some very good moments on attack. So we can't discount what they've been able to do throughout this game. I'll give you a sticker for each South African try, says Stan. And there now. We have got there, I am, says Angela, for the South Africans, but the kick is successful from Mani Lebok. And the score now sits 18 points to 3 in favour of the Springboks. That was the counter-ruck from Jasper Wiese, but the miscommunication from Scotland's defence did cause it. We have got that donation from Stan that he did speak of. And maybe the bonus point is possible now. Well, that's the thing now. South Africa 2 tries away from receiving that bonus point. And that will put them on 5 at the end of round number 1. Peter Stavatoy ducks the head. He was the first try scorer for the South Africans. Now, Faf de Klerk rolling it back. This is where they can kick from, inside of their 22. Puts the ball up high. We have also got the donation from Andre Vermeulen. And thank you very much, mate. Hugely appreciated for your super sticker. Now it's gone backwards. Jack Dempsey manages to pick it up. Stephen Kitsoff trying to hold him. It's got the knees to the ground. They will be allowed to use it. Ben White goes across to Finn Russell, Sione Tuipulotu. In fact, this time it's going to be Grant Gilchrist on the halfway line. Advantage going against Bongi Manumbi. He's only been on the field for 5 minutes already, giving away his first penalty. And they will go back for that penalty now. We need to score a 20 points difference here to get that 5 points, says BU. But yeah, of course, 2 more tries will get them that bonus point. And the Springboks, I'm sure that that would be exactly what they are after for this game. And in the second half, they're starting to roll. But now, Scotland, after the penalty goes against the Boks, I believe that is their 5th penalty against them in this game. The Boks compared to Scotland's 7, or somewhere around there. I thought the bonus point was 28 points. Is it 3 tries, says Richard. I believe it was 4 tries gets you the bonus point. I could be wrong. But, yeah, normally it's 4 tries get you that bonus point on the board. How good is Arunsa? He is an alien who's uncontrollably given him Kurumbeti. However, he can stand, says Kathy. Now it looks like Franz Malhabla, Stephen Kitsoff both making their way off the field with 27 minutes remaining now for the Springboks. And keep it up, Bok, keep it up, says Harold there. And Scotland will win. Team, are you here, says JP. Yeah, let's go there. Please give me a shout out, bro, says Fortnite Kid. Shout out to you, mate. And just subscribe, brother, says Ryan in there. Thank you very much. Hugely appreciate it. Anyone else who hasn't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We've got plenty more Rugby World Cup coming just around the corner. It's a knock-on from the Springboks at line-out time. We got the donation from Marco. And there as well. Thank you very much, mate. Hugely appreciate it. And please put your game on the screen, says Pete. Sadly, due to licensing, if I was to show any match footage or audio, it would end up getting me in a lot of trouble. They would end up possibly getting me sued by World Rugby. There's nothing wrong with that line out, says just in case. We behind you, Box, says Debogo. And there as well. And South Africa says Paulina. And which side are you on? Or are you in between? I am impartial. In every match of this Rugby World Cup, we are calling them straight down the middle. I have to say that both of these sides have put on a tremendous performance. Scotland, to be honest, them only having 3 points on the board, I feel they've been quite unlucky because they've had some plays that have deserved a little bit better than the 3 points. That Darcy Graham run in that first half comes to mind. Early push. Both front rows go down and we will have, yet again, another reset. Go the Buck, I love you so much. Says Dylan there, and South Africa has, or Scotland and South Africa struggling with scrums. Says Justin. And also we are getting the World Cup this year guaranteed, says Wandering Lamb. And my world champions, the Springboks, says Nkosi. Malcolm Marx is back out on the field now. What happened to Mbanambi? We got a new member, JP, thank you very much. But I swear I saw Malcolm Marx in the middle of that scrum. Mbanambi gave away a penalty, pretty much his first breakdown. And now I think, yeah, he's off the field again. It's Malcolm Marx in between Trevor Nakanya and Oxnashay. So I'm not sure what's happened to Mbanambi. I assume either a head knock or something along those lines. Thank you very much for the donation as well, Marco. Now, big push from the Springboks. They win the penalty just as Scotland were about to go. Scrum going completely backwards. We have got to go Scotland, says Graham. And also we have got there Scotland have the reputation for late comebacks. And also, no, are you nuts? The Scots are getting the hiding of their lives, says Nikita. Did you watch the first half out of curiosity? Or you just come in now that the Springboks got themselves a couple tries? I think the Springboks themselves out there on the field, if you listen to their post-match interview, they'll say Scotland pushed us throughout the early stages of that game. And I think it's exactly what they wanted at the start of this Rugby World Cup, rather than having the easy game. You're doing the next match there, Connor? We certainly are. We are going to be doing that match between Wales and Fiji. You've got there no live stream, says Francois. Yeah, sadly, the only real option was SABC, and they seem like their coverage has ended up not quite living up to the par. And go Box go, says Gamita. And also we have there Scotland need to make some changes now, says Kira, and that is exactly what they are doing. 4 players making their way on the field. It's going to be Cummings, Butty. Also they have got number 16, Dave Cherry. And the other change in the front row is going to be WP now. And second half, wait a minute, that's disappeared. Second half is the game plan for the Bok, says Jody there. And also we have got there, so grateful for you, says Daniel. And the chat as well, but Malcolm Marx now breaking off the back, almost had a bit of a handling error, but managed to regather the ball in the end. And there was a knock on, unfortunately, as he hit the ground afterwards. So now the scrum feed in favour of Scotland, but South Africa, they've currently got themselves that 15-point margin. We have got there, no man, this guy is boring, too composed. Shout, bruh, we scoring, says Nikita in there. So, okay, that was a lot to process. So you think I'm boring, but you're still here. It seems to be the general rule at the moment, but 24 minutes remaining. I mentioned about that change of Dave Cherry making his way. Okay, Malcolm Marx now back off the field for Mbanambi. And I think now Mbanambi is going to stay out there. I don't know what happened to Mbanambi. I don't know whether or not it was another blood bin, perhaps. We have got heroes don't wear capes. They comment on rugby for those who can't watch it, says Simon says. Now, Scotland. They've actually got Dewan Fundameva as the first option on the right-hand side. Goes Scotland, says Graham. Ben White now to feed the ball in. Thanks for this. We love you, says Beverly. Oh, penalty South Africa again. In the scrum, there's a lot of problems happening at the moment at scrum time. Actually, for both of these sides, but WP now just got a little bit too excited for his first scrum on the field. And SABC didn't get coverage rights. And your commentary is fantastic, says Gary. Should mention anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are now on the road to 32,000 subscribers. So let's see how close we can get by the end of this live stream. Excellent commentary, thank you. Says George there, thank you very much. Now South Africa, looks like Faf de Klerk will be the man who's decided to put the kick and tee down and have a bit of a crack at the post. Now, currently the Springboks, I would have liked to see them kick that one for the corner. If I'm being honest, I would have thought that with 15 points ahead, going for the extra 3 points, it doesn't really benefit them hugely. How much time is left? Currently still another 22 minutes remaining. Either you're the best in the world or the country should be laughed at for losing to you. You can't have it both ways. Box says, it was there from Kerr. And Faf de Klerk trying to bring it round. He's missed the kick. And I guess that does kind of make me wonder whether or not that option for the corner would be the better option. It's kicked downfield. Claimed at the back now. Damien Valimza charges up to 40 metres out from the line. Tackled by WP now. Mani Libok. Short pop pass up to Bongi Mbanambi. And he is back out there on the field. Faf de Klerk going to the left-hand side off to Oxnashay. Another big carry from him. It's great to see him back in the kit as well. Oh, it's actually Trevor Nakanye on that side. But Oxlade recently returning from injury. Came on at number 17, the bomb squad, once again with that 6-2 split off the bench, hoping to use that to their advantage in the later stages of the game. Now, South Africa only about, I'd say, 25 metres out from the line inside ball to Franco Mostert, but shut down by Rory Darsh. Scotland's defence overall in this game, they are still tackling at a much higher percentage than the Springboks, but it's what the Springboks have been able to do with those missed tackles that has allowed them get those extra points. Marnie Libok sold the dummy, goes off to Damien Dialende, the captain Kolisi. Not able to get his pass away. Darcy Graham trying to put pressure on in the breakdown. Gets bumped away by Damien Dialende. RG Snyman, you've got to make sure you tie up his hands, or else he will look for that offload. Kick him on from Faf de Klerk. A nothing kick from him. And a big boot downfield from Scotland. Wonder whether or not that will be the last of Faf de Klerk's day. They have got Grant Williams, who they can bring off the bench. It was a great step initially from Marnie Libok, though, to be able to break through the initial line. I appreciate this commentary. Thank you very much. No worries at all. Also, you guys rock, come on, Bok, says Rhea. And the chat as well, but now Dwayne Vermeulen making his way on. That is for Jasper Wiese, who I think is at a very good game. I know I mentioned before it that he was out of form heading into this Rugby World Cup, but he's put in the shift that he needed to give him that confidence once more. Now, with 20 minutes remaining, we're going to get to see Big Dwayne, that opportunity, go up against the Scottish. I think that is the only change that is currently being made. And we have got there, Sia got a wedgie, says JP, and not a great game, says Papa Shango. Are you meaning like not a great game in terms of like enjoyment, or in terms of like for the teams in terms of what's happened out there on the field? I don't know whether or not it's just the Rugby World Cup or not, but I have absolutely loved this match. Marnie Libok, the no-look cross kick to Kurtley Arendse out on the wing to score. How many subs can a team have? So they've got 8 that they can make. And Stephen van der Merwe has become a member. Thank you very much, mate. Hugely appreciated. Caitlin has said, loving your voice when the game gets tense hyped. Says Caitlin, I have no idea how I still have a voice at this stage, because we have covered every game of the Rugby World Cup in the last, I think I mentioned it at the start of the stream, in the last 60 hours, we've had about 8 hours of sleep because it's been that busy with the Rugby World Cup. And I'm still wide awake. I don't know how I'm wide awake. I should be crashed out on the floor at the moment. Hopefully I haven't just jinxed that. But, yeah. It's impressive, says Caitlin there. But hey guys, the Irish look like a headache. Yeah, getting themselves that points differential of 76 in their game up against Romania. Whoever wins this contest, which at the moment it does look to be the Springboks, they would sit second in that group. They have got their game at Romania just around the corner. At work and listening to your live stream, says Daniel. And Chuck says, Caitlin, I don't know whether or not I'll quite get through it all. About a litre left in that bottle. I have to get up halfway through the end of the game for a toilet break. But drinks break at the moment for these two players. I'd like to think that they aren't having a toilet break out on the field. I don't think they're allowed to. And we are planning, says Jordan Williams, depending on Fiji result. What would be, one moment, what would be your pick of the game of round 1? To be honest, at the moment, I feel like this game has been the best out of all the games that we've seen for round number 1. In terms of competitiveness, now the scoreline at the moment doesn't replicate that. But yeah, Fiji versus Wales has a very good chance of being the game of the weekend, and it's going to be a very exciting one just around the corner. We are covering that on the channel, so be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Now the Springboks back in action with this backline. Damien Valimza tries the spin. There have already been 7 players who have picked up doubles throughout this Rugby World Cup weekend, and Kurtley Arendse, of course, would love to add his name onto that list. Faf de Klerk going back across to Marnie Libok. RG Snyman still finds the offload even though they had 2 men tackling him. Damien Dialende tries to shut it down, but Darcy Graham kicks it into Dutch. Now it will be South Africa. They have got themselves the line-out. Go Africa. And I was over there. I thought the England versus Argentina was the most interesting. Definitely not the best in terms of skill, but definitely interesting. Yeah, seeing 3 drop kicks in the same game. Crazy for an opening game of the Rugby World Cup, but they managed to get themselves the victory. Commentary better than most on Supersport, says Louis. Thank you very much, mate. And taking your breath away, Bok winning. You're loving it, Mr. Kiwi, says J9. And proudly South African, says Sanitha. Bongyil Manambi now. Line out throw Scotland want any chance of getting back into this fixture, they will need to score within the next maybe 5 minutes or so of this game. That was not straight from Bongion Mbonambi. I mentioned about that accuracy of Malcolm Marks. That is why he's in the starting side, but Mbonambi gets it wrong. And now Scotland have got themselves a scrum. My guy does the pronunciation. For our surname spot on, says Ian. And also we have got there, please acknowledge Zuma. Says a cool story, bro. And also we have got their stupid mistake. Says Iko, yeah, you cannot afford to not have that line out straight. It looks like Scotland actually going to back their line out now to try and make a few extra meters, perhaps with that rolling maul is the reasoning behind it. Dave Cherry with his first throw has gone straight enough this time. Ben White slings it across to Finn Russell. Puts the boot in behind, looking for the 50-22. It curls out, and that will be the 50-22 for Scotland. We have got there in the chat as well. Remember in the One World Cup, we South Africa had 4 drop goals versus England, says Andre. Oh, taking it quickly, Scotland. No. Calm down. To myself, that was... They tried to take it quickly, but I don't think it went the 5 meters or something along those lines, or something happened that stopped them from being able to take it quickly. I think it was actually that they were in front of the mark. You're in front of the mark, says Angus Gardner. So that is why it's no try. I got a little bit too excited there. Now, line out throw for Scotland. We're back calm, ladies and gentlemen. There's a tense voice, says Caitlin. Now thrown in, nicely taken by Scott Cummings, looping around the back for Jack Dempsey. Faf de Klerk makes the tackle on him, but Scotland now in the best attacking position. Oh, it's dropped. It's gone backwards, so it is play on just for now. Ben White, where is Duan van der Merwe? We've hardly seen him with the ball in hand. In fact, I can't think of a run that the man has had yet. Now off across to Finn Russell. Inside ball to Darcy Graham. The box, we're reading that like it was a book. And Seo Kolisi almost able to get the turnover. Duan sitting out on the wing going, boys, do I need to be here? Ben White goes out now. Jamie Buddy, short pass. Off to Jack Dempsey. Seo Kolisi on the ball. No, he misses it again. Finn Russell goes off to Dave Cherry. They're slowly working it towards Duan. Now he's decided he's going out to the right now. He's sick of the left. 25 metres out from the line. Ben White, penalty goes the way of the Springboks. Once again in the breakdown, it was only a matter of time. Seo Kolisi, 4 breakdowns in a row he entered, and the 4th was the one that got him the ball. The guy that should have flipped the load shedding switch here, probably watching the Rugby World Cup. Exciting stuff, Hamish, says Franz Smith. And also we have got there 59 Kiwis playing for other countries far more than anyone else, says Papa Shango there. We have got there, guys, relax Springboks average performance, says cool story, bro, and also Bok will improve throughout this World Cup. Thank you so much for your commentary, sir, says Brendan Williams, and thank you very much for being here. Anyone who is new, hit that subscribe button. We're going to be back for Wales versus Fiji, which is just around the corner. Should be absolutely awesome game. Scotland keeping the game in tight. Hardly seen their outside backs being used, says BP. And the slightly, I guess, it's not so much ironic, that's not the right word for it, but the slightly downside of it is I think they're using it in those guys next to the breakdowns because they don't want to have one-on-one scenarios where South Africa can steal the ball. But South Africa are stealing the ball next to the breakdowns rather than out on the wing. So I think if Scotland look at this game, they look at the replay, they watch the tape, they'll just think, why didn't we try a couple more times to go out wide? We talked about how dangerous Duan van der Merwe could have been in this game, but at the moment it is only a could have rather than a was. Bongion Mbonambi at the back of the rolling maul this time for the Springboks. That line out was straight for them this time. South Africa or Scotland, says Reggie. Well, at the moment, it is going to be in favour of the Springboks by 15 points as well. Your live chat just crashed on my plane because of all the comments, says Simeon. Yeah, there's a lot of, or Simoni, I think it was, actually. Now, trying to kick that in behind. I think that's gone into touch. In fact, I'm not sure what happened there. That looked a little bit scrappy for both of the sides. So we got South Africa in the chat as well. And we have got there, why do you have a suit on? One moment, we go like this. It must be hot in France, says W. Yeah, luckily where I am, it is 7 degrees Celsius rather than 27. So we're doing not too badly. Although I was wearing a kit earlier on with the fire going and I almost cooked. I think I'm like medium rare at the moment. And let's go Boca, let's go Boca. Says Marco, and Hamish you the beaut. Now, kicked up. Well, sorry, not kicked up high. Thrown high. And to the back. Little chipper behind from Finn Russell, claimed by Jesse Creel, who has been forced back maybe about 15 metres, but the ball is still on the side of the Springboks. De Klerk showing off his muscle, pushing the breakdown and getting the ball back out. All stolen. Marnie Libok looked for the wide cutout pass to Cheslin Colby, but instead now Scotland have managed to get the ball back. Get out, says Angus Gardner. It's what you say when a bird flies into your living room, isn't it? Get out. Sorry, I'm sleep deprived. Now, nice run forward from WPL, or WP now. Now Ben White, sling and pass. Hey, it's Duan van der Merwe. He broke a tackle in his first carry of the game, almost. Now Ben White, back across the right-hand side. Finn Russell, nice pass off to Matt Fagerson, recently making his way onto the field. Oh, the ball is good and nicely stolen by Trevor Nakanye till it was stripped out of his hands, and the penalty goes the way of Scotland on the halfway line. Cape Town, love you guys in there as well. Do you know Jake Paul? I do not know him personally, no, but I know of him, yes. You can watch it on the TV, why on YouTube? Or you can watch it on the TV, why not YouTube? Pretty much it's down to the broadcasters. So the broadcasters pay a lot of money to be able to lock in the licenses. So I think if we were to try and show the whole World Cup on our channel, it would probably cost us a few $1 million. I don't have a few $1 million, unfortunately. It would be lovely if I did, though. And don't support Scotland, says Christian. Why not? They've played not too badly. I like Duan van der Merwe starting to have a bit of a run. Maybe they've realised that would be a decent option. We have got legendary commentary, says Joey Nell. And also we have got their, you're 5 minutes behind time, More than likely, yeah. Although it says live for me, so I'll go off that. Now thrown to the back, stolen by the Springboks. The line out time has hurt them better. Steph Toy, big knock on from him there though. They'll go back for the scrum again. We're back 50 years ago when we listened to the radio commentary. No TV then, better visionary advantage, says Stephen there as well. I think that's about 4 or 5 lineouts now that we've seen that Scotland haven't been able to claim. Do you think Fiji will win, says Sports Fan? I think they've got a really good chance against Wales, although saying that, a few of the games that we've seen so far, some sides have performed, some sides haven't. Argentina were an informed side heading into this Rugby World Cup, and then we saw their performance up against the English, and it just wasn't quite the same. You're a lifesaver for this commentary, says Jonathan there. Now scrum beat for Scotland. 30 metres out from the Springboks line. They have not been able to cross the try line as of yet throughout this fixture. It's going to be Ali Price, the replacement halfback. Put the ball in, that's gone down. Penalty to the Springboks. Once again, set piece is going down the gurgler for Scotland. WP now is not a happy man. Anytime he's gone head-to-head with Oxnashea in the scrums, it has been a one-way street. Do you think Box can beat Ireland? It's going to be an intriguing game. It's only a couple weeks away, ladies and gentlemen, and we will be covering it on the channel. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are on the road at the moment to 32,000 subscribers, but I feel with the 10 minutes remaining in this game, we may be able to get to 31,500. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We're only 300 away. Huge amount of support already on this live stream. It has been absolutely incredible to have you all here. A good 6,000 watching. We all donate $1,000 that I can get the rights. Yeah. Looks like now the change is being made. Vili LaRue making his way onto the field. That is going to be for Marnie Libok. Now, I wonder whether or not we're going to see a little bit of a reshuffle in the back line. Perhaps Valimza steps into that fly half role. I was bummed that I couldn't watch, but so enjoying your commentary. Thank you. See you Heather. Thank you very much. And we will be here for every single match of the Rugby World Cup as well. So any games that you can't catch live, be sure to pop in. And yeah, hopefully you will enjoy them too. Dwayne Vermeulen driven backwards there. Nice work from Jack Dempsey. Turnover is good. Scotland take the ball back. But normally when they just get that turnover, that is when the Springboks try and get it back pretty much instantly. It's kicked them behind. Looking for that 50-22. It's inside. Now, Damien Valimza, massive boot there down towards the Scotland 40-metre line. We have got there, when is the break ending? The break has already ended. We're currently 71 minutes through this game. And Leanne Jacobs said, you are great. Thank you very much. 100% sure, says Frederick. Just showing there the stripping of the ball, or is it actually, are they looking at the injury of Finn Russell? He might have taken a bit of a knock to the nose there. You're a very professional Kiwi lad, says Sally. I should mention I don't always wear the suit though. That is only for some of the special games that we do end up putting it on. Yeah, or else I'd have to keep on washing shirts. Which is not a problem because it's only on the weekend, but it's just, I normally wear a hoodie. And come on boys, get momentum flowing, says Henry. Come on Scotland, says Gemini. And also we have got there in the chat, come on Scotland. And how much time left in the second half? 10 minutes remaining now on the clock. We have got another donation from Franz Smith, an excellent commentary from Aotearoa, which says Franz Smith, thank you very much, mate. Hugely appreciated there as well. Ali Price now goes back across to Finn Russell. Hugh Jones, here we go. Duan van der Merwe shut down early by was Kurtley Arendse, getting him round the bootlaces. Ali Price goes back across to the right-hand side. Russell, flat pass, risky, and Jamie Butty has knocked that ball on, I believe. I think there was a knock-on from Oxnashea also, and the ref's just gone, yeah, we might as well keep playing. It's in the hands of Damien Dialendi. They're trying to hold him up. It's become a rolling maul, and Scotland will get themselves the scrum. This platform is only with commentary. South Africa, the best commentary, says Goldberg there. And thanks for the commentary from the US, says Craig. Is the referee Australian? He is. It is Angus Gardner, the man who's in charge of this. Who is your man of the match? Unknown commentator, says Ian. For this one, who would I give man of the match to? Damien Dialinda hasn't been too bad, but I don't know if I'd give him man of the match. Probably one of, actually, no, you got to go with one of those forwards, don't you? See, Khaleesi's been pretty solid. Alongside that, actually, no, I take it back. Jesper Wiese. I'll give him the man of the match. My brother's crazy. It's just the sleep deprivation. 60 hours awake, 8 hours of sleep. The Rugby World Cup is here, and my sleep schedule is completely gone. Best rugby team in the world, says Justin. We have got there as well. Great commentary from Cape Town, says Mogamat. Thank you very much, mate. Now, it's available off the back. This time it will be Jack Dempsey. Passes out wide. Here comes Blair Kinghorn, showing off a little bit of that elusive pace that he has got Scotland moving to. South Africa's half. We've got to remember there's still a bonus point on the line here for one of these two sides. South Africa, if they can score twice more. Scotland, if they can get within 7. Big run from Matt Fagerson, driving his legs. But he's tackled by Mako van Staden. Big run forward from Jamie Butty. Like a bulldozer. Finn Russell can't quite find those passing options at the moment. It seems like South Africa, their rush defence is causing a little bit of hesitancy throughout this second 40 minutes. Now Russell goes for the kick and behind. I don't like that one, but it's gone straight into the hands of Willie LaRue. And Willie LaRue will kick it way down the field. Oh no, it actually went out relatively close to the 22 from Go the Springboks, says Eleanor, but that is not what Finn Russell should be doing in that scenario. You need to keep on running the ball. You finally had yourself a line break, and then they gave the ball straight back to the box. And hi from Port Elizabeth, love your enthusiasm, says PJ. And there, thank you very much, mate. Hugely appreciate it. Thanks for the update with this load shedding in South Africa. I'm watching from Johannesburg. Says it was Nizizwa? If I said that correctly, I feel like I've butchered your name, so I do apologise for that. Loose ball again. Now Ali Price going across to Finn Russell. Nice step coming in there. Redpath driven backwards. They have also got Ollie Smith as another man did come off the bench in the back line, and that is going to be Ollie Smith now with that ball in hand. Driven backwards by the box and counter ruck coming. A little bit of a pick and go from Duan van der Merwe. If he got the offload away to Ali Price, could have been a lot of opportunity there on that near side. Now, ball has been stripped away from the Springboks, or by the Springboks again, going across to Chislin Colby. He's got space and he's got numbers on his outside. Sells the dummy, and now Chislin Colby, plenty of base, runs straight at Finn Russell, who rips him down and holds on to him, doesn't want to let him go. Damien Dialendi goes off to Mostert. Arendse scoring here. Now it's going to be Willie LaRue, passes to Duan, or in fact it's Dwayne Vermeulen. Faf de Klerk off to Willie LaRue, chipping it in behind, and Duan van der Merwe takes the mark. We've got there, it's the cold weather and chattering teeth, says Clinton there. And also the Bok will cost us big time. We told Ray Paula the Bok is very bad. But that's his thing. In the last game, he managed to do very well, Marnie Lebok, and everyone was saying, yep, he's our fly half. But now that he's missed a few kicks, everyone's back to saying, nah, he's no good. So if he has a good game next week, the question is, are you going to go back to being on his side, or will you still be against him? I live in South Africa, so go South Africa. Kicked him on from Scotland again. This is working perfectly for South Africa here because this will use up a bit more time. Willie le Roux can force the ball down. This is a Bok thing. Go the Bok, make South Africa proud. Says Emily, and brilliant South African or Kiwi South African accent in there as well. You've got our accent waxed, says Bryn. And also I'm sitting on the edge of my chair. What a great commentary, says Joel. Looks like goal line dropout, 6 minutes remaining. Faf de Klerk his 50th game. Now making his way from the field, and that will be for Grant Williams, who makes his way out onto the park. And I think there was also, was that Finn Russell? No, Finn Russell wouldn't be making his way off at this point, I wouldn't think. And also we have got your blood. Must be green and gold. South Africa, Cape Town, says Goldberg. It's kicked off long. Here comes Jack Dempsey running straight at Oxnashire. He's been put down on the turf by Nashir Mostert. Ali Price back across to the right-hand side, in behind pass. There, a little bit of a sell from Hugh Jones. Unforced error again, and it is going to be now the scrum peak. Can you show time remaining on your screen, says Bianca. So we have got the 75-minute little clock thing just there. We're up to 76, only 4 minutes remaining on the clock now, probably at the end of the scrum. We have got there 2 tries, boys, says Jan. So we have got there here a girl from Argentina for South Africa. Does that count? Says Alien YouTube. I'd say so. And also we have got there USA. Says cool story, bro. And go the Bok. And there, and great commentary. Go the Bok. Says endless. There as well. But Chisel and Colby showing off some of that brilliance that we know that he's got. Finn Russell managed to wrestle him down though. Doing extremely well. All they needed to do was just shift that ball out wider, a little bit faster. And I think that would have been Kurtley Arendse out on the other wing having a very fun time over the try line. That sounds dodgy. Currently, tell you what, I almost made an Elton Yankees joke, but I held back. Hello from South Africa. Thanks for the live commentary. And I like doing fun to move. It says short videos. Now Grant Williams going off to the left-hand side. Willie le Roux. He has knocked the ball on. Advantage now for Scotland. Kicked him on. Blair Kinghorn. It's just going to curve too much. And advantage will be over. We have got the awesome commentary, man. Love it, says was there from Marnus, and Chiselin's step with the fire emojis from Life with Escher. Just rolling too much towards that touchline. Pollard is not perfect. LeBock neither, says REW. And also Scotland can't win. These boys are in it to win it. We've got a new member on the channel as well. Jenny, thank you very much for hitting that membership button. Now I have access to exclusive emojis on the channel, including one of my face looking very confused, which I think happens quite often. Now, line out from Bongyumbanumbi. Grant Williams breaking the line. This man has got express pace. When he starts motoring, he's got right round the defensive line. That was a brilliant last-ditch effort there from Scotland's number 10, Finn Russell, because he was the only thing, that ankle tap, that stopped Grant Williams from getting a full field try, but it's going to be knocked on again there from from Scotland first. Great commentary, says Mark. A nice rolling of the R's for le Roux, says PJ. And great commentary, thanks, man. And also, guys, show love and like and sub, says Justin. Yeah, anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 31,500 subscribers. The goal was to hit it by the end of this live stream, and we are currently only 150 away. So, if you do want to leave a like and subscribe, it'll be hugely appreciated. And thanks for the commentary, says Massimo. And thanks for your hard work. Really appreciate this page so we can follow the rugby, says Dawi. And we are covering every game of the Rugby World Cup on the channel. Can hear the South African neighbours yelling, says Caitlin there as well. I think there'll be a lot of happy people in South Africa by the end of tonight. Or in fact, in only 2.5 minutes time, the braais. Wait, it's evening. You guys would have a braai in the evening, wouldn't you? Even if it's dark outside, worth a barbecue at night time. Celebrate the first win for the Springboks of the Rugby World Cup. Is it going to be the first of many? We'll have to wait and see. Grant Williams now put the ball in. 2 minutes remaining on the clock. Relatively strong here. Grant Williams clapping along his fullback. They haven't got themselves the advantage, but now Willie le Roux passes the mind to Grant Williams. That was a rough pass. It's gone forward by about 3 metres. Kurtley Arendse not able to get out to it. And also at 7:38, we would braai until 4 a.m, says Caitlin. And braai anytime, says PJ. And Brian Beers, says Ross. And also we braai anytime. And just followed and subscribed. Thank you, says Kelly. Thank you very much hitting that subscribe button, usually appreciated, and also hitting that like button on the live stream. In fact, I haven't seen what the like is sitting on at the moment, or the likes are sitting on for this live stream. So anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit this like button, because I believe it will be a record either way. We've hit a record number of people watching at an individual time on the channel. We've beaten it by like 2,000, which is insane, to say the very least. And great commentary. Hope you get some sleep soon, says Jan. Although we do still have Fiji versus Wales just around the corner. It's going to be an absolutely awesome game as well. But now Ali Price, penalty, or in fact free kick, going the way of Scotland. Now, Dawn van der Merwe passes on the outside to Ollie Smith. Kinghorn out on the wing. Now, when he has run the ball, he's actually looked pretty dangerous, Blair Kinghorn, although Dwayne Vermeulen didn't care. He just slammed him down into the turf. Now, both of these sides, there is actually nothing more to gain in this game other than points differential, because neither side can get within the 7, referring to Scotland, and the other side are not going to be able to get themselves the winning bonus point. It's another knock on from Scotland, but they'll go back for the original penalty. We have got a day without a braai is a day not worth having, says TNG, and good job with the South African names. Well done, says Pinky. Thank you very much, and hard to believe Scotland only have 3 points. Should be more. Don't deserve a win, but definitely more than 3, says Kerr. Yeah, I feel like that line break that we saw from, it was actually Darcy Graham, that one could have easily turned into a try from the great commentary for Desperate Live Streamless. South African, says Dave. And there is on. We are going to be back, like I mentioned, for every single match of the Rugby World Cup. So if you guys want anywhere to just chat about the games, even if you do have a way of watching them, we will still be here chatting away about the contest. Dave Cherry now going to have the line out throw, 15 metres out from the line. Currently 80 minutes. What's that? I think that's not straight, or in fact, it's a free kick to South Africa. Now, they have to make a decision here. Do they want to take the quick tap and just boot this ball into touch, say thanks very much for coming, or would they rather go for one last attacking play before the end of the fixture? I think that they'll go with the tap. They do, and they'll put it into touch. South Africa get themselves their first victory of the Rugby World Cup 2023 over Scotland. 18 points to 3. My voice almost just gave out. We've got water. We'll have to drink plenty of it because we've got another live stream only 45 minutes away, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to be the matchup taking place between Fiji as well as Wales. I almost forgot, but that's because of the excitement of this Rugby World Cup. Anyone who is new, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are almost at that goal of 31,500. So if you do want to help us out, it is greatly appreciated. We are here for every single game of the Rugby World Cup. Cheslin Colby getting a hug from Grant Williams. Colby's got to be close to man of the match in this one as well. I would say it was between Cheslin Colby, Jesper Wiese, and then probably Sia Khaleesi. Or Malcolm Marks got himself a couple early turnovers though, so... But I'd probably say out of those first 3 that I mentioned, drink your water and get some sleep. Till next time, says Caitlin. Yeah, anyone who is interested in that next game that is taking place between Wales as well as the Fijians, that is going to be kicking off. And not too far in the future, throughout this next live stream, we will be looking through at this game and all the other previous fixtures that we've had for the Rugby World Cup. To be sure to check that out. Thank you from Johannesburg for the commentary. We needed that bonus point. It'll be South Africa, New Zealand in the quarterfinal, says Andre. And there's one, thank you, this was brilliant, says Stefan. Thank you very much, mate. Usually appreciate it. And also we get there, well done, Bok. And please stream Fiji's game, brother, says Manasa. We will be live doing the live commentary for Fiji versus Wales as well. And thank you very much for the live stream commentary, says Raymond and the chat. And you need beer. Well, I've got water at the moment. That'll have to do just for now. Well done for some great commentary. Thank you very much. And the voice, I am really surprised that we've still got it as much as we do for this live stream, but we'll take it. Thanks for your commentary, says Deborah. And also thanks for the commentary, says Pew Pew Nando. And the Kiwi lads, where'd that go? That disappeared pretty quickly. Kiwi lads, it's the best. You need to hold the trophy of the Rugby World Cup, says Rhea. And thank you for the coverage, says Louis. And also thank you very much. Well done, Mani, says Ree W. I should mention the tries being scored throughout this game. There were only 2. One for Kurtley Arinsa, and then the other try was scored by Peter Steph de Toy. No tries for Scotland in this game. Also, there were no tries in the first half, but eventually the Springboks are able to get themselves over that try line. Strained as it sounds, Man needs a water instead of a beer, says, it was there from Caitlin as well. And love from us, proud of our box, says Hugh Jas. Nice name. We have got You Are the Man. Thanks for the great commentary, says Joel. We have also got there Scotland. We're very poor, wow, says Jacques. And also we have got there, cheers Hamish. Hope to see you in Cape Town anytime soon. I want to go to South Africa at some point. I have to try and make a trip in the future. I'm not sure whether it will be soon or whether it will be a long way away, but either way I'll have to try and get to some games of rugby. You're probably excited to get some sleep, says Christian, although we have still got that next live stream, like I mentioned, Fiji versus Wales. Alongside that, we are also going to be doing a podcast straight afterwards. So fingers crossed that the voice will still hold up. The chat is going extremely quick. I'm trying to read every single message, but my brain can't quite handle it. 600 subs to the 32k BP. So yeah, anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Let's see how close we can get to that 32,000 subscriber mark. Doing all the World Cup matches, says Justin. We certainly are. So next week, anyone wondering who the Springboks will be playing, they will be taking on the Romanians in an exciting fixture at 1 a.m. New Zealand time on Monday morning. So that is going to be a Sunday 3 p.m. kickoff for everyone in South Africa. These are all the other games, though. We get to see Uruguay. We also get to see Samoa, Portugal, and Tonga, the four sides that didn't get to take part in the first round. Scotland do not have a game here. South Africa do up against Romania. But should be very intriguing. And of course, for South Africa, the week after that one will be when they go head-to-head with the Irish. That is going to be a 9 p.m. kickoff in South Africa on Saturday night. Time zone's a little bit tricky, but we got there in the end. We have got a new member on the channel as well, Vanessa May. Thank you very much. Hugely appreciated for you hitting that button. And also, thanks again, Hamish. You are awesome, says Beverly. Thank you very much, Beverly. And hi, Hamish. I've always amazed commentators how with fast talking, whether they get all the names correct. Do you watch the number on the jerseys or the player? A little bit of both. So some players, I do need to check the jersey, and I've just kind of memorized who's in which jersey for the team, so that I just know that's who I've got to say. But yeah, my brain sometimes, I don't know how it works, because I also try and read as much of the chat as I can, which then it's pretty quick. You don't listen, you need beer, says Clinton there. Now, the beer might have to wait. I actually really want an ice cream, though. I don't know why, but I feel like I'd rather have an ice cream after the last live stream than a beer. We might have to go get one. That'll be quite a nice treat for a Monday morning. Thank you for excellent commentary. And well done, South Africa, says Dita. And also we have got there, you are very good, says Angelique. And also Lekker Springboks, says Marco. And yeah, as well, thanks, Kiwi lads. Best commentary of this tournament, says Vanessa. And I think, to be honest, the most enjoyable game to watch that we have had so far in the Rugby World Cup. And I know some people might look at it and go, it's 18-3. 2 tries scored. I still think there was a lot in this game. For the first about 45 minutes, you couldn't split the sides. There's only penalties being scored, and then now we're in that scenario of the second half came around. South Africa looked like they just fired themselves up way beyond belief. Give that man a bells, says Jonathan there. Hope you hit your target. Love your commentary, says Vanessa. I think we certainly did. I think the original goal was 31,000, and now we are closer to 32. Only 400 away. So yeah, it's been absolutely insane the amount of support you guys have been showing on these live streams. Like I mentioned, we have got that next one just around the corner between Fiji and Wales. So be sure, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Who knows, maybe we can get to 32 by the end of that one. What is your name again? Hash, not quite. So you need a couple more letters in there. So it is Hamish. So you need the M and the I, and then you're all good. And chat, you are on a roll. And also we have got there watching members get live streams, says Cobus. Members do not get access to watch the game, I should clarify, but they will get access to those little emojis on the channel, and it also helps support the channel so that we can keep on doing this as often as we do. Awesome commentary from Israel, says JP. And also we've got there, Go the Box, says Harold. Hamish, you legend. Until next time, and Scott's played well. Bring on the Irish. Going to be exciting. Just around the corner as well. I am very hyped up. It is currently 5:48 a.m. I haven't slept much in the last 3 days because of the World Cup, but I still feel like I could go for another 10 hours, which I will not, because there aren't games on for the next 10 hours. But Fiji versus Wales, just around the corner, ladies and gents, so be sure to tune in for that one. But thank you all very much for tuning in for this live stream. If you are new, hit that subscribe button, leave a like if you did enjoy. We are back for every game of the Rugby World Cup, so be sure to tune in. I'll leave the suit on for the next live stream because I can't be bothered taking it off and I will see you all for the next one.